Hello and welcome back to the Football Social Team, live on Football Daily and Soccer M's YouTube pages. Look at those epic scenes we're starting the show with in what will hopefully be an epic game, of course. If Tottenham win today at their home ground, they overtake Chelsea in the league. Who'd have thought that some weeks ago? Quite the turnaround under Jose, having won 5 of their 7 games with him at the helm. Joining me in the studio, it's a full sofa, it's a full studio as well. We've got Stephen Kelly, who's very much team Tottenham. How are you, sir?
Very good.
Confident today of a result at home?
Yeah, confident enough. I think they're playing good football and they've scored a lot of goals, so you feel Mourinho knows what this Chelsea team are about as well, so you fancy their chances.
OK, let's see how that pans out. Torandri Flo, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's a first for you as well. A couple of debutants on the sofa. Are you confident that Chelsea can get a result here? Because recent weeks have been a little bit rough. Lost 4 of your last 6 games. And I say you because you're working with Chelsea still as well, aren't you? Which we'll touch upon later.
Yes, no, I am confident in a way, but the form recently hasn't been really good. But I think it will change today.
Talking of bad form, Ashley Hamidi. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
You're having to do this, suffer through the show off the back of a 2-0 loss. Of course, you're a Manchester United fan.
Devastated.
To Watford. Give me a breakdown of the game.
Oh, it was horrendous. Very tepid first half. Didn't break them down at all. And then they got the goal from a bad David De Gea mistake, and then quickly got a second from a Wan-Bissaka tackle. Led to a penalty, and we couldn't break them down. We had a couple of chances towards the end of the game, but we just couldn't break down the defence.
A couple of half chances as well. Full-time scenes there. Nigel Pearson congratulating the rest of his staff. And there's a man who has pulled off the great escape before with Leicester. I think they had sort of sub-30 points one year. The year before they won the league, in fact. And he managed to win 9 games, I believe, in the second half of the season. So the Watford hierarchy will be hoping that he can pull that off again. Troy Deeney getting his first goal in some time as well, having returned from injury. Will Brazier.
Yes.
Getting drawn into the scenes there.
Yes, a bit emotional for Nigel Pearson.
I mean, you are here for a reason.
Yes.
And that is for people to get involved. And how can they get involved, Will?
Yes, Chris, lots to talk about. Can Ings get better for Aston Villa? Was that Dean Smith's last supper? Die-hard Sheffield United fans must be buzzing. Is it a miracle on 34th Street for them? And Christmas has come early for me. I feel like I'm in an episode of Premier League Years. We've got Stephen Kelly and Tori Andre Flo. Get your questions in for them. #TFS, @SoccerAM, @Football Daily.
That is the energy we need on today's show. Well done, Willian.
That's 1 hour 20 on the train.
Let's go straight to the table then, without further ado. Bottom of the table is where Watford remain despite that 2-0 victory. Of course, Norwich pipping them on goal difference, but what a Christmas present for those guys at Vicarage Road. Norwich and Aston Villa making up the rest of the relegation fodder. Will ecstatic at that result yesterday when they lost.
John McGinn out for 3 months.
3-1. Less of that, please. Right, here's the top of the table. Liverpool, the Club World Cup champions, sitting pretty. 10 points to the good despite not playing. Leicester, Manchester City, I'm sure we'll touch upon that game as the show unfurls. Manchester City, really impressive second half from them. Chelsea 4th, Tottenham 7th. But look at the points gap there. It's nothing. Absolutely nothing. Tottenham with a better goal difference. So like we said, if they win, they will be back in Champions League contention, let's say. So let's talk about the game then. We'll get onto the formations in a moment. Stephen, where do you think some of the damage can be done for the home side in this fixture?
Well, don't want to jump the gun on formations, but if Chelsea are playing a 3, you kind of feel Son and Moore out in those wide areas could cause them problems, because if it's a formation they're not used to playing that often, it's something that could be definitely got at. But the way Tottenham front 4, front 3 have been playing, their movement, the goals they've been scoring, you kind of feel that it's going to be one in those areas.
What have you made of Jose's introduction to life at Spurs then? And as a Spurs fan, a self-confessed Spurs fan, were you happy to see him arrive at the club?
I think it was hard because Pochettino is so loved at the club, and for him to be gone and Mourinho come in so quickly, there was like almost no grieving time. It was just happened so quick. It was like, but they say the best things is to whip a band-aid off quickly and get it done with. So that's kind of what happened. And for me, I know there was a lot of negativity towards Jose at the end of his Man U time, but I almost feel that him going in Tottenham was almost like when he took over Chelsea initially. It's a similar sort of. They've got a good group of players. They've got makings of, with Kane, a centre forward that scores a lot of goals. Just good group that he can work with and come in, and without the added pressure of a team that's gone on relentless winning titles. They haven't done that yet. They need for someone to get them that level, and I'm kind of hoping that he's the man to bring them up to speed with that, because you kind of feel that Pochettino, for all he's done, he's got them to this level, and they just almost needed someone to take them on to the next, and hopefully that's Mourinho.
Yeah, like you said, those young players that Poch developed are now at the pinnacle in terms of their career. Harry Kane springs to mind, and they'll be desperate to win some silverware. I'm glad to see Jose arrive, you know, if that's their end result, end goal even.
It is, absolutely. And you can see, like, for me, there's been a lot of talk about contracts and people not signing. Ericsson is the big one, but Toby Alderweireld, him not signing, he's just signed again. And, you know, I wonder if that's the Mourinho effect. If he's come in, he feels like, you know what, this club is actually going to go places now where we might win titles, and I'm in a position here where I might get somewhere. So that's really been important for me, and it's been very good.
A renewed optimism. And talking about a good group of players, you'll be very familiar with the group of players that are emerging at Chelsea, having worked with several of them. Did you expect this young batch to break through as quickly as they did when Lampard came in?
Not as quickly as they did, no. I know that Lampard likes young players, and he knows the academy at Chelsea really well. So I knew that he was familiar with the player and would want to bring them in. But the way he's done it has been brilliant for the whole club, and even the supporters, they love it now. And they see the young players are coming through, and not only coming through, they're really doing well as well. So although not being top of the table, I think most people who support Chelsea are quite happy for the moment.
Yeah, hopefully that element of realism remains and people don't get caught up in it. Very easy to do so. Just to give you guys some context at home, here is the formations on screen right now, starting with the home side, Tottenham. So it's unchanged from the last match week. Lucas Moura, Son and Harry Kane will be looking to get at Chelsea's fullbacks. Like Stephen said, a change in formation might leave them a little bit more exposed than in recent weeks. A few changes for Chelsea, including that formational change. Azpilicueta picking up the right-back slot. Marcos Alonso returns. That's quite a big one. Not played an awful lot of minutes under Frank Lampard. Mason Mount, he was talking midweek about him playing in the number 10 role. He's put him on the right-hand side in this game. Willian lines up on the left, and Tammy Abraham is goal-getter through the middle. So let's see how that pans out. Got a bit of a different feel to it. Pulisic on the bench. OK, we've seen the teams. Ash is a neutral. You know, let's take some of the emotion out of it for the time being.
Yeah.
What are you making of those two 11s?
On paper, looking at it, I have to lean towards Spurs with that, I think. I think they are clicking up front, as Stephen said. Dele Alli looks like a different player. I remember there was the quote of, "Are you Dele or Dele's brother?" when Mourinho first came in, and he's taken his words and used them. He's done so well recently. I'm leaning towards a Spurs. Sorry, I'm leaning towards a Spurs.
As a Manchester United fan, who would you rather win in these circumstances?
We need a draw, so a point each, and then we can still keep in touch with the top four.
Ash, don't be wishing for a draw on the football sofa. That's not what we're about, is it, Will? Unless it's a 3-3.
Yeah, I'd like a 3-3. I'll take that.
That's a dream.
What do you think, my friend,
dream,
on the end?
I mean, I don't like to agree with Ash, but I might have to. I just think it'll be. I think it might be a comprehensive Spurs win. Sorry, Tori, we've only just met as well.
Wow.
But I just think with that front four and everything they've got in behind, and the new optimism that is around Spurs, and just playing in that stadium as well. I mean, we were looking at. I mean, there'll be about 30,000 in there screaming for the ball to go in. So I think a Spurs win for me, Chris.
Well, talking of that optimism, Jose seems very light, doesn't he, in his recent pre-match interviews, and we can actually hear from him right now.
Jose, what would the significance of a win taking you above Chelsea be today for you?
If we win today, we are top 4 today. The important thing is to be top 4 in the end of the season, but obviously if we can do it today and add 3 points would be very important for us. They are direct opponents in that fight for the 4th place. So if we can grab all the points and make them leave the stadium with 0 points would be obviously good.
Would it underline the progress, the improvements that the team has made since you've been here?
You know, I think a good performance and a good result is always important and underline progression. But I want to believe and I want to focus more on the end of the season and That's what I'm telling the players. We have to improve step by step, and independent of results, we have to follow our direction. So big matches like these, you also learn, and difficulties bring you to a certain level. So I'm really happy to play Chelsea. I would be more happy if I win, but I'm happy to play them.
So, Stephen, they were talking about the significance of being in fourth, you know, during the Christmas period. Of course, Spurs around 17 points worse off than this stage last season before the whole collapse happened under Pochettino. It's so important for this club to be a Champions League club now, isn't it? Not only to retain their players, but to add to it moving forward, or they could fall by the wayside in terms of being a top four club.
Yeah, no, they have to be. I think that's the way the club is set up to be, the stadium, the training ground, everything about it is set up to be a top four team, and to attract the best players and to be moving forward, that's where they need to be. And as a club, they need to be pushing for winning leagues. And I know that's so far off Liverpool and City at the moment. Liverpool, granted, but you feel going forward that's what they need to be. They need to be in the top four. They need to play Champions League. Getting to the final last year, and they fell off so much after that. It was like they reached it, and then it was like foot off the pedal, and you can't do that. You have to be relentless. You have to be willing to go there every season. And I feel under Mourinho they can get themselves back to that. And you know what turnaround it will be if they're Champions League before Christmas, considering where they were a few weeks ago.
I know they spent a lot of money off the back of that Champions League campaign. Ndombele arriving for a huge fee, Lo Celso alone with the option of a huge fee, right? But do you think that Jose Mourinho will have demanded new signings in the winter window when he joined? Would Daniel Levy agree to that?
I don't know what Daniel Levy...
That wry smile suggests it might be quite tough, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure at the conversation he would have had to include Mourinho giving money at some point throughout their contract to bring players in, because that's how he operates. As a manager, he's always looking to add to his squad, bring in, players that are proven and can come in and do a job straight away. So that's definitely has to be an option for him. Whether it's going to be this window or not, I'm not too sure. And do they need it in this window or not? Again, they lose Eriksen, that might free up some funds, and if he's going to go, realistically, they have to kind of get rid of him now, so he's on a free in the summer. That could be the way of bringing in funds if it happens early enough.
Sure. Chelsea are in a very similar situation as well, where it's not quite clear if they need to spend, maybe where they need to spend, and they have been linked with Jadon Sancho for 120 mil. I will be trying to get some inside information out of you, Tor, throughout the rest of the show. But what do you make of that potential signing, and where would you strengthen as a Chelsea fan?
I think, as we couldn't buy any players in the summer, and that all these young players have come in, there's not really anywhere on the pitch that we're looking. We have to strengthen that part of the team. But I think more in general, if there are any players that are available, that's difficult, especially in January. The January window is a bit strange for me.
So would Chelsea prepare?
Sometimes it's just panic buys in January. So I think we're looking maybe up front, maybe at the back, but not desperate. I don't think it's a must thing to do to sign players in January.
Yeah, and like you said, because they're unsure whether the transfer ban will be lifted, that one window earlier than anticipated. Were they necessarily prepared to spend big? Because it seems now they'd have to just kind of go out and buy people with not much notice.
No, I think Chelsea are prepared. There are all these scouts around looking and following the players. So I think Chelsea knows the market really well, and if needed, they could go in. But as I said, we know it's not that necessary, so it needs to be also the right price and all that. So we'll see.
Seems like they might have their bases covered then. And talking of bases covered, Frank Lampard was saying this prior to kickoff.
I'm happy to go up against Jose, because I think for me to play under him as a player, and it was a big influence on my career. To go up against him last year for Derby against Manchester United was a big deal for me, and that remains. I'll always have respect for him for that side of it. The bigger thing is Chelsea-Tottenham and what that rivalry means, what it should mean to our players and us, because that's the beauty of football. It's rivalries, it's what you feel about your club, and what our fans will demand on Sunday is that we show on the pitch what they feel watching the game.
So you guys both know what this fixture feels like, and it's obviously become a little bit more venomous in recent times. We had the Battle of Stamford Bridge, which was great, but how was it, pitching your wits against a team like Chelsea, Stephen?
Yeah, when I first came into this, it would have been when Mourinho had almost just taken over at Chelsea. And he had those flying wingers in Robin and Duff, and as a fullback. I remember,
thanks.
I saw you sweating.
Yeah, I remember one of the games we played, and I was actually playing left back because Martin Yule wanted me to play against Robin because he likes to come in his right foot. So he wanted me to come inside, so it was a tactic. And
Go and mark
so
Iron
yeah,
Robin.
Robin, yeah. So it went quite well, and it was the game, and then towards the end of the game he took him off and put on Sean Wright Phillips, and I was like, oh great, cheers. So it was one of those. I think even after the game Mourinho commented saying, oh, it was tough on the young lad, taking off Robin, thinking he's had a good game, and then I throw on Sean Wright Phillips. So no, it's a great fixture, it's a great game to be involved of, and the rivalry between the two teams has only got bigger because Tottenham got closer to them over the recent years. That's what's happened. Tottenham have become closer in a team to pushing them, and the level of performance and the types of players they're on show now is great to see. But if you can get a win here, it's fantastic as a Tottenham team.
There didn't appear to be any bad blood there between the players or the managers. Pleasantries all around the tour. I mean, you played in some huge games. Obviously, Celtic Rangers dwarfs this fixture. But what was it like, to play and to score against a team like Tottenham in the Premier League?
It is definitely a very big game. When I came to Chelsea, I wasn't aware that the supporters for Chelsea hated the Tottenham team so much. So that was a bit of a surprise to me. But that period was great as a Chelsea player to play against Tottenham, because for the 3.5 season I played, we didn't lose to them. So
nice.
I've got very good memories.
Get that one in early.
I think you're being very humble and forgetting the 6-1 win and the hat-trick you scored in this game.
Yeah, that was the first game against them, so a hat-trick and
Didn't even ask Ash to bring that up off screen. That was completely organic there, guys.
Very humble there.
Right, Ash,
good memories. Yeah.
who are you backing in this game then? You've said Tottenham.
Spurs. It's going to be. I actually think Chelsea will score first. I think Abraham's going to get the first goal, and I think Spurs are going to win. I don't think Chelsea can. They haven't been great defensively. They haven't kept many clean sheets, and I think it will be hopefully a very open game, and I can see Spurs nicking it.
Right,
A
so
lot
you
of
said
people
Tottenham, but it won't be
saying
clear.
Tottenham.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying Tottenham. Are you surprised by that?
A little bit. Well,
Is it the Jose Mourinho
if you look
effect?
at just the last
It's
few
the form,
games,
isn't it? Yeah,
if
it's
you'd
the
asked
form
us
that takes
like
into account.
4 weeks ago, then
Yeah.
it would have been totally different. That's how quickly football changes.
I know it
isn't
is. Yeah, look at United.
You have very short memories in football, don't they? We're forgetting that Maurizio Sarri had a very good start to life as Chelsea boss as well, and that Frank Lampard wasn't inheriting that bad a squad, was he? Talking of not that bad, we've got a price boost for you. It's the first one, and it is Kane to score a brace at 7-1. That's now 8-1. Ali to score any time. Ash, of course, talking about him being a different beast in recent weeks gone by, is now 11-4. Son to score and Spurs to win in 90 minutes, 4-1. When Son plays well, they generally win, don't they?
Yeah.
Mount to score and Chelsea to win in 90 minutes. Now 11-2 odds accurate at the time of recording and subject to change. Check out the website for more details. You have to be 18 plus to play along, of course. I've just asked Ash. We've already had the team you're backing as well. I mean, you always go for the 3-3 draw, recurring theme. What are the comments saying? Is that sense of confidence, Tottenham-wise, prevailing in the comments?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people just think that front four is going to be stronger, and obviously there's a bit differentiated with that back three, sort of back five of Chelsea going forward. One question for you, Torre. Man on the bench today, Callum Hudson-Odoi. How good can he be? What's his potential?
Oh, I was coaching him at the academy when he was 14, and already back then it was almost like give him the ball and then we're out of trouble here. He's a super talent, very, very good. Obviously had a bad injury last season, came back really quickly actually. He did his Achilles tendon, so he's a good player, and Chelsea would have a lot of fun with him over the coming years.
For me, do they need him? Do they need Sancho if they got someone like him there? That's.
Yeah, well, Chelsea has a lot of good players in those positions, but big teams, they want to strengthen their squad, don't they? Although they have good players.
Well, talking of good players, kick-off is imminent and some stars out there. Just worth acknowledging the minutes of applause there for Martin Peters as well, the England legend who sadly passed away. So our thoughts, obviously, with his family. But let's get stuck firmly into this game then, as the players are in the opening exchanges. Sergio Aurier bursting up the right there. Be interesting to see what sort of approach they adopt in the first 10 minutes, won't it, Stephen?
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to try and be the more positive side out of the two?
I don't think either of these teams know how to be positive at the moment. Mourinho, because he's come in, people always associate him with being able to be defensively solid and get his team set up well. But, the signs of that have only started to gradually creep in. They've been so good going forward that you see both teams are going to go for it. And it's, for me, interesting for Chelsea is getting Rudiger back, because I think defensively they've been off the mark slightly, and I think he's only finding his feet. Really, we spoke about it before that he's not back at the full fitness yet, and he's going to be really important for them. So,
lovely switch of play there from Tammy Abraham. Marcos Alonso picking it up on the left-hand side. Tor, we spoke about who Chelsea might want to shop around for. Do you think another left-back is priority as well? Ben Chilwell from Leicester has been heavily linked with the club.
That was a right smile there.
One inside transfer from you. By the time we're done.
Dig this out, isn't
It's difficult for me to start talking about names.
Get it on, get me some odds. Get me some odds.
Diplomat, Tor.
But what I would say, maybe Chelsea are changing a bit of the system today, and maybe they're trying something new here. Maybe we might see them a tiny bit more defensive than lately, just to make sure that we don't concede goals.
So counterintuitively, it might be a Jose Mourinho side that we see taking the initiative to Chelsea in this game. Let's have some fan questions then to really kick the show off. And if you've not, submitted one to Will yet, then get in the comments. Subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber, and we'll endeavour to answer all of your questions. Will.
Yes,
Tease up with some big ones, mate.
Stephen, starting with you, obviously being a former Tottenham fullback, wanted to get your thoughts on Sergio Aurier. He's had a few pelters on this show before.
True.
It is the truth. What do you make of him? Has he still not reached his potential?
No, he ticks so many boxes when it comes to being an athlete and pace and strong, gets up and down the pitch well, but just some rash decisions at times, and just, one of the most important things for a defender is consistency overall. I think as fullbacks, I know they're so, at the moment, it's such a trend, fullbacks getting forward, joining in, but defensively you still have duties you have to do, and when you're in that area where you're a last man or you're in a position where you can give a foul away, you just have to be a bit calmer, more relaxed. Don't rush into things, and I don't think he does that.
You're having flashbacks in his mind.
Yeah. I just feel that he's still rash at times, and if he can get rid of that, as in goes talent-wise and physical attributes, he's got the lot.
Yeah, for sure. We've got any Chelsea-related questions then to fire at Tor?
Yeah, well, one we were just speaking about upstairs. This is not the first time you two have actually met, is it, Stephen?
I don't think Torre will remember.
You might have to remind him, mightn't you?
Yeah, so I said to him before, when I was younger, before I signed for Tottenham, I was over on Chelsea on trial a couple of times, and Torre under flow. I got a photo with Torre, Ruud Gullit, Gianfranco Zola. I'm sure Tottenham fans are loving this.
Why don't we have these pictures?
I've
got them. No.
Could have wheeled them out. That'd been class.
I think my mum and dad have it. They moved recently.
Recreated it today.
Either of your mum and dad very active on Twitter,
No,
because if they
no.
want to tweet it, they can to a
know.
hashtag. Right, actually, it is Tottenham that are playing the more progressive football in the opening 5 minutes. Asking a few questions of Chelsea. Sergio Aurier, pretty prominent down the right side, and he's
Lovely bit of skill there from him.
He's going to have after that, he's going to have a blind today.
a great flick pass there to Lucas Moura, I believe that was, who I did see on Smithy's, our other host. Never in the same room anymore. Adam Smith's Instagram feed, and Adam Smith, of course, at the ground today, wearing a white polo neck.
Yeah, quite controversial, Chris. Obviously, we're still getting reports. We don't know if he's teaming it up with the jacket or if he's not. But at the moment, it just stands as a white, almost cream roll neck. Ash, you've seen it?
It was horrendous.
So if anyone does see him out and about, please just tweet us some very in situ shots, and we'll make sure we show them to the fine people at home.
Yeah, just tell your nearest steward if he's around as well. So.
Oh, quality. Right, 5 minutes in then, Ash. Let's get another Chelsea-related question.
What's a switch of play by Dele Alli?
Did I just miss a little bit of play there? What happened there, Tor?
Oh, that was just a great diagonal. Dele Alli was it? Like a volley and a great technique across.
It seems like something they're trying to do quite early, just switch the ball
switch
out
well.
quickly to the
The thing
fullback.
is, well, you can see Chelsea have almost gone to a 5, haven't they?
Yeah,
two fullbacks.
that's
So they
what
just
I
got to get.
thought,
That's what you
yeah.
said. Yeah,
I
it's
think-
stopping them.
Tottenham trying to get early behind on the sides, don't they?
I think the directive from Lampard is just first 20 minutes. Let's not, because these are
I
young
think so.
players, aren't they? Tor? Let's
Yeah.
not get caught up in the occasion and then build from there. Is this a hard game for these youngsters to make impact on?
It is. This is a tough game. Look at this new stadium, full house. It's full on. But yeah, I think now don't concede in the beginning, and then well, actually now they're coming forward.
Great footwork, that. So we spoke about both sets of managers. How long do you think we could see Frank at Chelsea for? Is it one of these sort of like defining legacies, a big Frank Lampard era ahead of us?
I think so. Yeah. Well, for the moment, everybody loves him.
Yeah.
He's got the whole club with him, not just the supporters, everybody who works there, and if he can keep the atmosphere like this, he could stay there for a long time, I think.
Was that noticeable from day one as soon as he stepped in?
I think so. I think all the supporters were waiting for someone like him to take over, someone they already love.
Yeah.
You could see it happening, couldn't you?
Yeah. He's the top scorer of all time at Chelsea, and everybody loves him.
What a ball.
Do you think that's given him... Do you think the fans will be more patient? And everyone will be more
Definitely.
patient with him than opposed to someone like Sarri? If you were going through this run under Sarri,
Definitely, I
there
think
might
so.
have been pelters coming at him, but now it's under Lampard because they can see what's happening and see what he's trying to build.
And especially like the way he's played the younger players for years now.
Yeah.
The academy's done so well, but players haven't really gotten into the first team, and now he's done it.
You see that buying goodwill from neutrals as well. I think this is the
Yeah.
most likeable
Yeah,
Chelsea.
yeah.
I think so, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
And hopefully, Tammy Abraham nearly getting on to the end of the ball there, about 9 yards out. Last couple of minutes, actually, Chelsea have really stepped up the tempo, haven't they? And with England and the England squad largely undecided for the Euros because it was chopping and changing even late into the qualifiers, wasn't it? A few of these Chelsea guys might be in with a shout. Ooh, a good defending. Is that Davinson
should have been a
Sanchez just
corner,
doing enough?
isn't it? Oh, it is a corner.
Davinson Sanchez just doing enough to put Tammy Abraham off there, and Chelsea have the first corner of the game, I believe. And
Flick by Aspilicueta.
that's a nice little flick.
What do you make? I saw some, the team of the decade's been in very at the moment. Everyone's putting theirs forward. A few people put Cesar Aspilicueta in there. What do you think of that?
Yeah. He's been so consistent, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Over many years, and he's a good captain, kind of.
Leader.
Yeah, leader.
I love him. I love him as a
Yeah.
player. I think, like I said, that consistency level, which you just have to have as a fullback, I think he's getting forward, and he seems so honest.
Yeah.
He just gives everything to every game. And
Well, we're just talking about Sergio Aurier. He's kind of at the other end of the spectrum, isn't he? In terms of maybe his physicality is waning a little bit. Maybe he can't bomb on as much as he used to. But in terms of defensive nous, there's not many better fullbacks. And Stephen, who's your dream fullback? What's your ideal fullback? Whether that's attributes or whether there's a player out there that represents that.
for me, the player I love the most, and probably going to see him reborn, was Philip Lam. I think Philip Lam was just
Great choice.
So good, wasn't it?
I honestly think he was just.
Stephen's gone continental. I love that.
Fantastic.
He epitomised it for me. Like just everything about his game. Never gave the ball away. So consistent, relentless energy up and down the pitch. Centre midfield, right back, whatever. If you have Pep Guardiola saying that he's the best midfielder he has, picking him in Bayern Munich, you know this guy is special.
Yeah.
Lucky enough to get his jersey as well. So.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice.
Was that in Ireland, Germany?
Ireland, Germany, yeah, they tonked us, but that was a good
Rasping effort.
Have you still got that
from
shirt somewhere
distance.
else?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Prized possession, yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Rudiger, who loves a long diagonal pass, has gone for a long diagonal shot there. That was from about 30 yards out, and it's gone over. Come down with snow on it, that one, Tor. How important is it to have someone like Rudiger back? Because, of course, Chelsea conceded quite a lot of goals at the start of the season.
Yeah, maybe the back line has been conceding a bit too much, and we've been missing him, definitely. It's good to have him back. Yeah. which surprised me a little bit. But when I saw his speed on the stats, he's a tough guy to overtake.
And of course, sorry, Ash, I was just going to mention the effect he has on a Kurt Zouma or a Tomori, who are very good players in their own right, but perhaps at this stage in their career, better next to someone, who's a little more experienced.
Yeah. No, he's definitely played now a few years at a very high level, so he's got the experience, and he as well is very a leader type of guy, and it's good to have someone like that at the back.
Okay, nice. What were you going to say there, Ash? Sorry, mate.
That was a great question. Mine was going to be, who's the fastest at the club? If you're taking who's the quickest?
I'm not sure if he's Tomori as well. He's amazingly quick. I haven't seen the correct stats on who's the quickest, but
we want the eye
really
test.
Fast.
I think we've had enough of stats on this show. I bore them to death with stats. We want who is quickest according to Tor Andre Flo.
Actually, I think maybe Tomori is the fastest in the team.
Playing against a quick centre-half, what absolute absolute.
When I played, I hated when they were big, strong and quick. That was the three things.
Have you guys noticed a change in the athleticism of footballers from when you started playing? Is it overplayed? You know, people talk about the evolution of fullbacks quite a lot and how that represents, how the game's physicality is changing, or is it spot on?
I think it's gradually been coming more into football about being an athlete. I think one of the first Arsenal were very much Wenger he wanted his players to be athletes.
Oh, Willian!
We'll come back to that answer in a second, Stephen, because Willian, he's had a complete renaissance, hasn't he, under Frank Lampard, and Willian, who's playing on the left-hand side today, wrapping it away with a plum there.
He's a great
Tor,
goal.
did you see the build-up to that goal? Can you explain it for me,
It was
please?
a short corner, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's poor from Spurs.
Short corner
Short corner to Kovacic, and then he just
Surge there,
We're going to blame
Stephen.
Aurier again.
Aurier sleeping.
William,
napping.
he is
That's
the
an unbelievable
fastest
finish.
Stephen,
in
how
the
should he
world to
defend
go
him?
that?
Well, the last thing you want to do is let Willian come onto his right foot.
Yeah.
You got to show him in line, but just
Or
beforehand,
step
when
over.
it goes back to it, you see he turns his back as the short corner is taken, and then he reacts to it. So he should probably already be out there if there's 2v1. That's his
nice,
job.
isn't it?
What a finish, though,
finish,
gentlemen.
guys.
What a way to start the show. That's what we like. 12 minutes.
Welcome, gents. Welcome to the Football Social.
We talked about William, didn't we,
We
before the
said
game?
beforehand, I said if he's on form.
If he's on it, he can do it.
I got a good feeling about today's show, gentlemen. It's the last one of the year as well. Come on, Ash.
Yes.
Willian, linked with Manchester United pretty incessantly and Barcelona.
He was.
I'm going to use the word pelters again on this show. He was the recipient of a fair few of them last season. Him and Jorginho becoming Sarri's whipping boys. I mean, did you want him at United at the time? Did you expect this sort of form from him at the start of this season?
So at United, we've always, for the last few years, we haven't had a right winger. And because he can play out there, I was all over that signing. So I thought, right, finally, some width, some natural width, get Willian on the right, bombing up and down, putting crosses in the box. That's what I wanted. It didn't obviously materialise, and I didn't think he'd play this much, actually, under Lampard. I thought he'd favour Pulisic, Mount, and even Pedro, maybe. But
He's becoming impossible to drop, isn't
exactly, yeah. He's becoming one of the first names on the team sheet. I think he's done brilliantly this season, and that's genuinely a stunning goal. Such a good finish.
Beautiful strike.
There's not. I don't know if there's many players that can do that sort of goal.
And maybe that was
Oh, that's a nice play by Abraham.
Chelsea breaking again here.
Slipping.
Maybe that was part of Lampard's thinking, that Sergio Aurier wasn't going to necessarily be clued on to the fact that he's right-footed, and it's paid off already in the opening 13 minutes.
Oh, well, when you have someone like Willian, the last thing you want to do is let him into the box on his right foot and in a shooting position. Though the angle is ridiculous, he scored from. It's not like so a lot of players cross from there, but he's whipped into the far post.
It's like Mahrez yesterday for City. Surely Leicester would have known, don't get him on his left, and then just next thing they're just
When you think of all teams, Leicester would
quick
know.
to go.
And he can go both feet.
I thought, just touching very briefly upon yesterday's game, that was the most impressive Manchester City have been in a while, particularly in the second half,
Unbelievable.
against a team of Leicester's quality as well. And they were putting people on, like, really out wide, and Ben Chilwell didn't know whether to tuck in, to go out, did he? It was causing real confusion. So we've seen how devastating wide players can be in not only that game, but this game. What did you think about yesterday's clash of second and third, Ash?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was a really, really good game, really open, end-to-end. I thought the key player for City was obviously De Bruyne, but I thought Mahrez as well. You notice how often they were just switching the ball out to Riyad Mahrez, and he was getting, he hugged the touchline, but he was coming in every single time, and Chilwell just couldn't get near him. And obviously that led to the first goal. I thought Mahrez was the best player on the pitch. His touch, obviously you boys know better, but I can't remember many players better at receiving a ball on the run. When when the ball switched out to them, he just takes the first touch. He's always perfect. I love Riyad Mahrez. I'd love to see him at United.
Absolute technician, isn't he? Absolute technician.
Never say never.
So these clubs obviously a little bit further behind Leicester and Manchester City, not only in terms of points, but in terms of where they're at as a club with their starting 11s. Perhaps that might be a little bit controversial when you consider Leicester's. But have you been surprised, as well as Chelsea, in equal measure with the start that Leicester have made, gentlemen? Stephen, starting with you, mate.
Kind of at the start of the season, Leicester were one of the teams I kind of felt could progress and could push toward. I was thinking top 6. I wasn't thinking top 4 for them. I didn't expect them to be as good as what they have been, but they've just been relentless, haven't they? The energy levels they've showed, the way they've got forward, the way they've passed the ball, and the shape they play about them really suits them.
I mean, their fullbacks struggle, but I wanted to ask you what you think of the likes of Ben Chilwell, who's been linked with City and linked with Chelsea.
Chilwell's been excellent for them. He does so well. He gets. Like I said, yes, they struggle, but that's again. When a player wants to come in on a strong foot, you can't always stop them. I know I've given a bit of Aurier there. It's not something you can always stop, but he has been very good for them. He gets forward really well. Defensively, he's good too. So and he's a young player that just seems to be showing loads and loads of great attributes. But as a team, I think Leicester have been excellent, and I think Rodgers has got them firing on all cylinders.
It was just a 40-second package on how Sergio Aurier was at fault for the goal, giving away the corner and then the goal. Not the best start.
I was right to call it beforehand.
Wasn't just you, Stephen. The whole of Sky Sports getting behind that. Tremendous work.
I think Graham Souness is up there, I'm sure.
Sergio Aurier is a kind of guy, like, you can see why you'd play him. It may be a Conte system as an attack-minded fullback with a bank of 3 behind him, but in a 4,
you can see
Stephen, worrying.
You can see
slip him.
You can see why you're playing, but you can't see why you get rid of Kieran Trippier ahead of him. That doesn't make sense for me.
It was strange, wasn't it? Because then obviously Walker Peters is the backup, but Mourinho's not going to really play him, is he? Surprised they didn't shop around for a right back.
Especially the way Trippier's kicked back into full. Back into form at Atletico.
He wasn't playing well last year, granted, but he's still a very good player. And he's got so many good attributes about him, and he seems to work hard and have a good mentality about him. So it was a strange one to let him go. But like I said, Aurier again, like I said, he does tick so many boxes when it comes to so many attributes. But just that switching off and that lack of concentration at times is what lets him down.
Very similar to me as a right back. I used to always switch off. Which was my downfall, actually, Tor.
Whoever's not using you as a target man needs a stern talking to.
Maybe. Absolutely. Get some tips off you.
Absolutely ridiculous. So do you think that, Stephen, Spurs should be shopping around in January for a right back then? Is that a really problematic area for them? Like, is that the problematic area?
I think with Mourinho and the way he will want his team to be very solid and not concede many goals, if he sees that as an area that is leaking them, he's definitely going to want to address that. It's just who do you try and bring in, who do you try and replace him with, and did he go forward, do they try and get someone that's playing in the league at the moment?
Will, do you need to borrow my glasses, mate?
No, I'm just itching.
If you enter that camera shot once more, I think that cameraman's going to give you
It's all right. It's our new setup, isn't it?
a swift roundhouse kick. Eric Dyer and Mason Mount going in there. That was a well-contested 50-50. We like to see that. Eric Dyer coming back into the side, of course, one of the beneficiaries of Jose Mourinho taking over. Mason Mount, let's touch upon his progress because you oversee, and I want to get this right, Tor, but players who are going out on loan. Are you the official liaison? You their first kind of point of call?
Yeah, well, there's 4 of us, previous players of Chelsea who look after players going out on loan. So what we do, we go out, visit them, we sit down with a manager. So that's a big part of the job, to actually agree with the manager on what we say to the players and how we develop them.
So you make sure they're being used correctly and that they're happy?
Yeah.
I mean, you must have had your work cut out with the amount of players that Chelsea had on loan last season.
Yeah, well, there's been quite a few. They're coming. But I really enjoy that. It's very interesting to follow players that closely.
And Mason, was he another one as well, as we spoke about Hudson-Odoi earlier? Was he another one that you knew was ready for Premier League football?
Yeah, Mason, he was out on 2 loans. He was at Vitesse Arnhem in Holland first season. And then obviously at Derby last season. He struggled a little bit when he went into senior football, Vitesse. Needed half a season to get into it. But ended up being Player of the Year.
Finished really strongly, didn't he? Yeah.
So he did really well that last half of that season. And
is that something you think more British youngsters should be doing, to go and seek first-team football in places like the Eredivisie?
Definitely. It's a bit less physical there, but at the same time very technical. So Chelsea are using Holland quite a lot just to develop them and let them have a little bit of experience before they go into the English system, which is more full-on and physical.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it with the Bundesliga as well, aren't we? So I think long may that continue, because players like Mason Mount might not have been fast-tracked to the first team had they not had, spells like that in their formative years. Stephen, you went on a few loan spells before you kind of broke into the Tottenham first team. One of them being Watford. Of course, you've seen them win today. What was your time like at Watford? Did that really help make a man of you, Stephen?
Absolutely, yeah. I found going on loan. It really did. Going on loan was one of the biggest things I did to get myself to be a professional player, because you go away and you're playing men's football and the physicals of it, you have to adapt really quickly, and you're playing in teams that are, you play under 23s football, underage. At the end of the day, it doesn't. If you lose, it doesn't really matter. You don't really get relegated. I know but it's not the fact. You don't have the fans around you. So when you go men's football, you're thrown into this straight away, and you have to adapt to it. And you test yourself against much better players, and it really did. Like, I went every division. I went Southend, QPR, Watford, and then Tottenham all in 1 year.
Wow.
1 calendar year, not because you can't do it obviously in a kind of football year. I did it in 1 calendar year, I think.
And how did you feel making those progressions each time?
Every one just felt more natural. And when I went along first, I was a centre back. So I went to Southend as a centre back, and literally playing against these centre forwards. I was just had my nose broken my first game. And was just unbelievable.
We're all laughing, Stephen. Keep it simple. Your nose looks in good shape.
No, it's not bad. Probably fixed it, to be honest. Yeah. But no, it's one of those things that you're just thrown into it. You're against these tough, burly guys, and that made me just think, right, this is a physical side of it. But when you go to a team like that, a lot of players that go from, if you're pampered at a team like Tottenham or Chelsea, and you go away to a team that doesn't have the same standards, the same facilities, and Root Hall was not a standard of facilities down the South End.
Great amusement park though.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Good pier.
After pier,
really good pier.
Longest pier in Europe, isn't it?
Yes.
That's a good stat.
Well, love that trivia.
But it's
you can come again.
To do that, it's it makes a man of you, like you just said. It really does, and it wakens you up. But you feel like you appreciate what you've had more. So when you think, I want to make sure I make it at Tottenham, because I want to be above this standard if I can. That sounds probably doesn't sound great, but that's the reality. If you go down there, you think, I'm going to do everything I can to stay away from this level as long as I can.
I'm still waiting for that period. How has the last 5 minutes of the game unfurled, Ash? Some fascinating insight there from the guys, but what's it look like the last 5 minutes on the
Chelsea
pitch?
have really improved, actually. I think they've been the better side in the last 5-10 minutes. They've had a lot more of the ball, making inroads down both channels and looking the better team. Our bets are all looking pretty ropey. We all said Spurs, but Chelsea are the better team at the moment.
You did say 2-1 though.
I did say 2-1.
Talking of bets, I think we have our next price boost ready, and it is Willian to score a brace. 11-2 was 9-2 with Sky Bet odds accurate at the time of recording. Of course, they are subject to change. See skybet.com for more details.
Chelsea on the counter.
The 18 plus as well.
that is a good ball.
Mounts in. Sanchez.
Sorry, guys, at home. I lost you for a second there because Mason Mount was almost in, about 12 yards from goal. Him and Tammy Abraham have a really good relationship, don't they, Tor?
Yeah.
Is that just because they've worked together from a very young age?
They have been at the Chelsea Academy for years and played many, many matches together. So, they understand each other really well.
I suppose it's not really a given that you play a lot of football together at Chelsea as a youngster either, is it? Because you're sent here, there and everywhere. Reece James is another one. He's on the cusp of breaking through, maybe a little bit behind players like Mason Mount. It's gone off for a throw-in. Reminiscent of John O'Shea.
Oh, he reached it.
Pace from Aston
putting on the afterburners.
He's fast as well.
Love that. And he's flicked it out. Now it's gone out for a throw. So, Reece James, who could be the long-term heir to Azpilicueta, who we just saw there. what are the kind of Chelsea hierarchy or the people behind the scenes? What aspirations do they have for someone like Reece James?
Well, he went out on loan to Wigan last year, and I think he surprised us a little bit. He did really, really well there. To be honest, I wasn't thinking that he would be ready for Chelsea's first team already, but he's proven a lot of people wrong, and he's improved so much over the last 2 seasons. Well, when he went into senior football.
He was another player of the year at Wigan, wasn't he?
Yeah. So amazingly good season.
Is this the
last
Tor
year.
Andre Flo effect, or did you just have the easiest job in football? Like, listen, Roman, they're all doing well, all right? And that's the end of it. That's the end of my presentation.
The talents that Chelsea have been really good, to be fair. So.
Well, it's great to hear that some of them, some of it's owing to natural talent and their career trajectory has gone the way you anticipated. And there's players like Reece James proving everyone wrong as well.
Yeah.
You're getting stuck into a gluten-free cake.
Is it gluten-free?
They were bought specifically for me, mate.
Oh, seriously?
You didn't ask.
Sorry, mate. No, I've gone for it now.
No, there's a few left. We're all right. Long show as well. So let's get some questions answered.
Yes, plenty flying in thick and fast, and by the power of technology, the next one should appear on the screen. Daniel Levy obviously giving a passionate speech at the Christmas party for Tottenham. But do we think they could win a trophy this season? Stephen, I'll start with you, your beloved Spurs. Jose's the man to do it, surely?
Yeah, I think they can. Definitely can. Like, they're in all the competitions. They're playing well. I think definitely I think what the whole thing about this Spursy thing that Tottenham have, hopefully he can get rid of that. The mentality, he can create a winning mentality in and amongst the training ground, the team, the whole philosophy of the club can get that about them. And if anybody can do it, it's him. He's just a born winner. Like, he's won more trophies than most clubs have won. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's relentless, and I think there's definitely an opportunity for them this season.
Fantastic. Speaking of winning managers as well, we saw Ancelotti back at Everton. Tor, were you shocked, surprised, happy?
Yeah, I really like him.
Look at the eyebrows. He's surprised. Come on.
I'm a bit surprised, yeah, but I really like him. I think he can do
Chelsea?
well. I didn't work under him when he was there, but been around him and know him a little bit like that. Everybody's saying that he's a wonderful manager.
He's universally liked, and players have nothing bad to say.
Should have done better.
And when someone like Zlatan Ibrahimovic says, like, yeah, I actually loved him, and has nothing contentious to say about him, you think, wow, he must be such a nice guy.
Every player says that he's a great manager to have.
Is he someone that could probably utilise Moise Keane a little bit better than, well, say Duncan Ferguson, more than 7 minutes, but he'll get more out of him than Duncan has?
Oh, yeah. Well, now he's coming into a new situation in a way. Everton is not one of the top teams, maybe, that he's been taking over the last few years. So maybe he needs to change his style a little bit. But yeah, I definitely think he's someone that can take him up there.
Ash, how does it feel that Everton, a club, languishing in the bottom of the table, have a trophy-laden manager, and your club's kind of persevering with Ollie? That's not to, bash on.
You didn't know he won stuff in Norway, mate?
He did.
Yes, correct. And he might get Haaland, at the club, which is going to be a big bonus moving forward. But he could be put forward as the third best manager in the Premier League.
Yes, he could. He's won 3 Champions Leagues, so technically probably he is, right?
So what did you think as another fan of the traditional top 6 clubs, seeing Everton, snap up someone like him?
It is. I was surprised. I was surprised that he's gone there.
Go on then.
I wasn't necessarily.
Johnson! What a ball! What a cross!
That was a really good ball.
De Bruyne-esque.
What happened there in that scenario? Because me and you were exchanging eye contact. Stephen, will you break down this shot for us, please? We'll go back to Ash.
The ball's flicked on the corner. Kane gets down the side, I think, as Mora plays into him. He goes, as he runs down, he looks up and whips the ball first time into back space. And Son, who you expect, he's technically so good in those areas. You expect him to kind of hit the target at least, but I think Aspilicueta is sliding in, putting him off slightly. But it's a great first-time ball from Kane, who's just technically, when he gets in those areas, is great as well.
He's such an underrated passer, is Kane.
Oh my God, his passing is phenomenal with both feet.
Really well described. Those lovely dulcet Irish tones, mate. Much easier to process than my Leicester accent, anyway. What were you saying, sorry, Ash, about Ancelotti being at Everton? Surprised or not?
Yeah, look, I was surprised. I'm not jealous. I don't think I don't think necessarily he's the right man for United.
That's what I was getting at. Let's have it right. Yeah.
No, yeah.
I was trying to bait you out.
I still believe in Solskjaer. I still think he is the right man right now for United. He might not be coming in the season. Maybe not after today, I know.
Love that, Stephen.
Cheers, mate. Sorry. I said on the show last time that I think he's doing right by the club, and I know that's corny and cheesy, but I think he is. I think he's instilling the right things at United again. I think we spoke about it with Pochettino at the time. Pochettino is a better manager than Solskjaer, and Pochettino is probably the right man for United, but you can't just get rid of Solskjaer just because he lost to Watford today. He's trying to build something again at United, and I like what he's doing. It's a bit like Lampard. We have more patience because we can see Solskjaer's doing the right things.
And if he does, young players, hasn't he?
Exactly. He's using young players.
Absence of the star midfielder as well, with Pogba injured.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's done really, really well so far. Obviously, look, our points total is not great. I think it's one of the worst we've ever had. But I think he's doing right by the club, and I'd like to see him stay. I'd like us to get Haaland in January. Tor, I'm looking for some inside info here as well. Because you know his dad.
That was a wry smile from Tor.
I would like to see him at Chelsea as well.
Come off it. You know his dad, don't you? You must
Yeah, I played with his dad, yeah.
So, what's he said?
No, I'm pretty sure he would go somewhere in January, yeah.
Oh, really? You think?
Well, I think
I like with every Tour answer, he's leaving a little bit out. You know it. You know by the look on his face. You said he's definitely on the move in January.
I think he will move, yeah, but I've no clue where he would go. I think there's some German clubs that are very, very keen as well.
Yeah. Borussia Dortmund being one, yeah.
Leipzig,
yeah.
I can't imagine Leipzig letting him out of the RB family at this point. That would feel crazy.
Yeah, why would you? Look, if he goes to Leipzig and we can get someone like Timo Werner, again, that's great because he's apparently got a 30 million release clause, and I'd love to take someone like him at United. We definitely need a centre forward, is what I'm getting at. Obviously, Haaland would be a great fit, young, hungry. I just don't know if he's going to come. I don't know if he'd choose United, even though Solskjaer's there.
Did you spend a lot of time in the national team setup, talking with Ollie? I don't know how well you know him on a personal level.
I played for many years with him for Norway, yeah. No,
Did you ever see him as someone that would be taking the helms at a huge club like Manchester United? Because I think that caught quite a few people by surprise, didn't it?
I think I was pretty sure he would be a manager at a good level, but when you're at Man U, that's pretty much the highest you can get, and he's done that quite quickly, I think.
So what was it about him? Sorry, where you thought, okay, he's going to be a manager?
I think he's a positive guy, but he's also very clear on what he wants, and he's very competitive. Very competitive. You wouldn't think about him maybe as a competitive guy when you just see him on interviews and stuff, but he's on the pitch and everything. He's very focused. He analysed things very quickly, like when he was on the bench when he played, and then he was ready to come on. An advantage for a manager.
You've actually scored against him, haven't you, as a manager, I was reading?
I have, yes, in Norway.
Yeah. So 3 goals, was it?
Yeah.
I feel like you're reliving this moment for the first time.
But so he was at Molde, and they'd already won the league, actually. So this was one of the last games. But still, that was a nice feeling for us. I played. Did
you wheel down the touchline in Ollie's face?
No, not really. I think we were fighting relegation, and they'd already won the league. So, but it was a good win still.
Outstanding research from you, Willian.
Well, Wikipedia. I'll do my donation to Wikipedia.
Not many people who would know that.
Did they have Haaland at the time?
No, this was back in 2011, I think.
So definitely not. No.
What a touch there. Aspilicueta nearly getting in, but Jan Vertonghen almost sending him into the advertising hoardings. Ash, been keeping a track on the game for the last couple of minutes. Has the momentum swayed at all? Is it still with Chelsea?
Spurs are coming back into it. Obviously, that chance from Son, he'd actually, like Steve was saying, you'd expect him to probably do better there. given the technique he's got. They're trying to push, but again, Chelsea are holding quite firm, and that's the only chance they've really had in the last 5.
Well, talking off 5, it is looking like a back 5 the majority of the time, isn't it, Stephen?
Yeah.
How hard is it playing in a back 5 to maintain that discipline for the full 90? Because you are tasked with, as a full-back in a back 5 to get up and down. Is it a more difficult system to play than a 4?
Not really. I think as a fullback, sometimes you feel as if you're in a 5, you have more cover. So if you go forward more, you feel like the centre back is capable of getting out there better because he already has 2 centre backs beside him. So you feel a little bit more comfortable. And you often, even though Chelsea have been in the 5 for a lot of the game, you come back to a 4, don't you? So it's like if you're right-sided, you be back in, and then the left back will still be high, so you're almost like a 4, so it swings around. But when Tottenham have the ball, Chelsea are just sitting in a flat back 5, and it's hard to break down those spaces. If you're tight together and you keep in a tight unit, it's very hard to get between the lines there and the spaces which Tottenham like to operate in. And that's what I find it difficult today.
Yeah, it's getting a bit attritional, isn't it?
Yeah.
How are Tottenham trying to navigate this back 5? Have you seen any themes pop up, recurrent themes?
Not really. A couple of times when they got down the sides of them, when they got behind them, it worked. So I almost feel like they have to take a play from Liverpool's book, and this long diagonal balls or the odd ball over the top. Liverpool do it really well. I know we've gone away from playing long ball, but Liverpool do it exceptionally well.
Yeah.
They run behind and it'd be a long diagonal ball or a long ball over the top of the defence, and what it does is it drags you back. So then that space in between the lines then comes available again, and it's easier to play.
That's been a really interesting evolution in their game, hasn't it? People talk about, Klopp's pressing, but it's been that Dejan Lovren 40, 50-yard pass that's been doing all the damage in recent weeks. And Rudiger has that in his locker, doesn't he? That long ball. So do you think Chelsea maybe sit back and play a little bit more direct if they hold on to this lead after half-time?
I think they might do. I saw Chelsea against Bournemouth last week, and I think Chelsea have learned a little bit on what Bournemouth did in that game, because they were so flat and tight at the back, Bournemouth, and Chelsea could not get through. So Chelsea have kind of adapted a little bit that into this game. It seems to be very hard to get through Chelsea here.
Talking about getting through, Will, have we had any comments filter through? What was that little guffaw from you?
Just Dele Alli just pushing Rudiger into the keeper for no reason at all. We obviously spoke a lot about what Chelsea can do in the January transfer window, but there's a few players that haven't been getting the time as well. One, Batshuayi Toure. What do you make of him?
Yeah, Chelsea has Giroud as well, and he's been in front of him in many games. But Tammy Abraham has done well, so it will be hard for Batshuayi to get in there. So playing with one striker, it's tough then when you are just behind that player who's going to play most of the games. So it will be tough for him.
Definitely. Ash, just make sure this question isn't from me. Stephen, is Birmingham versus Aston Villa the biggest derby in England? And that's from Eddie Need. That's not from me, is it, Ash? I've not written that. That's a fan-based question.
Actually is. That's quite worrying.
No,
your influence is growing.
It is a big derby, and like I said, I played in the North London derby. I know this is a big one, but Tottenham v Arsenal is a huge one as well, and I've had some big ones there. Remember just a couple of times where we played and the buses being got at before the game. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's quite feisty, especially at the old Highbury where it was very narrow coming towards the stadium. But no, it does get very feisty in the Villa Birmingham derby.
Oof, Dele Alli.
It's getting a little bit feisty in Tottenham's 12-yard area. This is very un-Jose Mourinho. They're trying to play it out from the back, and Kante is just picking it up time and time again. And Chelsea's shape here has them just penned in, doesn't it? But Willian peeling out wild again.
They've definitely been a better team.
They have been the better team.
What's
a
by Willian?
A little cheeky reverse ball into Mason Mount.
Oh, good tackle.
Very smart of his passing, isn't he, Mason Mount?
He is.
Picks up good positions as well, doesn't he?
Oh,
Mason is so quick to look forward and play through.
He's very decisive, isn't it? Okay, Ash, if you could have one of these players
just
on the
rubbing
pitch,
it in.
on the pitch now, for Manchester United.
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, not as a personal assistant, for Manchester United.
Probably N'Golo Kante.
can't.
You can't look beyond him.
I think everybody likes him.
wants him,
Yeah, he's just such a good midfielder, and I like that Lampard. Everyone was having a go at Sarri last season, saying, "Oh, he's not playing him in front of the back four," but that's not where he's best. He's best as a box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah. Weird how that argument stopped.
I know.
That took one to the mush there.
Will, what happened there?
There was a sort of 50-50 ball. I think Sissoko's gone in for it, and I think he's caught Kepa, in the face with his knee. There might be a bit of play acting. Don't know. Could have a broken nose. Then it's got my face.
Stephen, if he has got a broken nose, we'll be coming to you as our resident broken nose specialist. So,
is that when you move from centre back to right back?
Yeah. I was like, that's no more there, please.
No more of this. Get me out of it. That is.
He's a right to go for that, doesn't he? He's just the boat kind of sliding, and keeper's not coming with his hands either, so it's a bit different.
Oh, he's all right.
Did you palm in the face of it?
yeah, I thought it was a thigh, and Sissoko's thighs are pretty big, but it's just a palm.
Did you see the penalty appeal? Well, it wasn't really an appeal from Harvey Barnes yesterday. So Vardy whipped the ball in.
Oh, the Edison one.
Edison absolutely clattered him. And obviously Barnes has missed a chance, but looking at that as players, would you think actually I'm calling for a pen there? He's completely taken him out.
If the keeper takes you around, you don't get anywhere near the ball, it has to be a penalty, doesn't it?
Yeah. I was really surprised there was more made of that. Actually.
People arguing that the opportunity was gone because he'd already hit it, and then Edison's momentum took him through, but if your momentum's nowhere near the ball,
it's nowhere near the ball.
It's a defender as well.
Yeah, exactly.
There is questions to be raised. I think it even went to were VAR consulted?
I think they were, but it wasn't obviously given.
Okay, very questionable. The football kicking back off here after that little clash. Thankfully, everyone is up on their feet. We're 40 minutes in. Chelsea fans positive in the comments? Any Tottenham fans?
I think Chelsea should be
suggesting changes.
I think Chelsea fans are happy, and there's a bit of frustration just by the way that Tottenham have been playing. Stephen, what do you think, if any? I mean, we've seen the bench as well. Going forward, what sort of changes would you be looking at
for Tottenham? I don't think he's going to change at the moment. I just feel they just haven't got into their full flow, and to be fair, it's probably down to how Chelsea have played. They've stifled them a lot with their position play, and they've been very disciplined, haven't they? The way they've set up, and then they've caught them on the counter attack. But I think Tottenham need to try and you need to get Son into the ball more and more. Just get them influence it slightly higher up the field.
I mean, Chelsea dominating the ball with almost 60% possession, and the worry is when that happens, Harry Kane has a tendency to go looking for it. He drops deep, he drops deep, and then all of a sudden, Son and Lucas Moura are crossing the ball to absolutely no one. The pressing here from Chelsea has been relentless. Is that something that Lampard's tried to hammer into the team?
I would have thought so. Maybe at least get the tempo, because the tempo slowed down a bit from Chelsea over the last few games.
Hello.
Feisty.
Yes, that's it.
We need a catchy name. The Battle of Stamford Bridge obviously being the first one. Guys, get in the comments of a suggestion for a moniker for this if it all kicks off.
Coming up.
I think the referee, he's nipped it in the bud fairly quickly. Rudiger did not look pleased there, did it?
Dele and Rudiger?
They were both on the floor like
Were they?
picking snakes and ladders.
Dele and Kovacic, I'm being told it was.
Oh.
And
Kovacic looks brilliant.
That's the first I've seen of Harry Kane in about 15 minutes. All right, okay. To keep us ticking over during this time, Will, have we got any comments, any suggested changes? What's happening in the comment section with the FD and Soccer AM community?
Yeah, I think people are just looking for that intensity to rise from Tottenham, just very frustrated by their performance. Sort of the wrong intensity there from Dele Alli. But lots of questions in for Stephen and Torre. Torre, what is your favourite goal you scored for Chelsea? Not necessarily the best technical, but your most favourite.
Favourite goal, I think that must be in the Champions League quarterfinal against Barcelona.
Oh, I mean, that's a good one.
Just against the team.
I was going to say that's a much.
Same here.
The goal wasn't beautiful, but to score against such a big team in a big game like that was obviously a great feeling.
Can you talk me through it?
Actually, I scored 2 in the game. So.
Which one?
Dig a little deeper.
Which one, baby?
No, the second one, we went 3-0 up in the first half against them. It was a ball from Didier Deschamps, actually, who played me through over the goalkeeper, and it came into that corner. And walking into the dressing room, we were 3-0 up against Barcelona. That was the best feeling I think I ever had walking into a half-time
Who was the strike partner? Which profile of player did you like partnering up with up front?
I loved playing with Zola, Gianfranco Zola. It was a bit like, if he got the ball, I need to find a position in front of a goal, and he was just like hit.
Absolute magician.
He was just a magician.
I was watching weirdly enough, I think I was just on 2 a.m. on YouTube down a rabbit hole, just watching free kick compilations of Zola.
Technique was unbelievable, wasn't it?
So
The thing is, it was such a nice guy as well. It's lovely.
Always with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
What was it like training with someone like that? Was he just as good in training?
Yes, he was amazing. Yeah, professional, fully professional in every way.
Because
Always
there wasn't
trained
actually an awful lot of Italians plying their trade in the Premier League at that time, because of course they had quite a conservative attitude in Italy that if you played away from Serie A, you weren't often picked for the national side. So when he sort of rocked up at Chelsea, I mean, he was there, in the same period, wasn't he? But how influential do you think he was on the club and the league as a whole?
I think he was one of those players that would love by everyone, not just the Chelsea supporters. And the way he came in and played brilliantly from day one. And being so, he's quite small, He was like half my size. He looked so nice when he was on the ball.
Oh my God!
What has
just
happened
there?
Could that,
How is that a free
could
kick?
that not be a penalty instead?
How is that a Spurs free kick?
Okay, Ash, can you describe that whole situation to
there's
us?
a ball over the top, and Alonso's bombing on, and he's basically going to get there before Gazzaniga, and Gazzaniga's just clattered into him and gone nowhere near the ball. I don't know. He just missed the ball completely. That's got to be a pen.
How is that? That's got to go to VAR, surely.
Surely VAR will
Is
look
that
at
Anthony
this.
Taylor?
How did he get a free kick for it?
How was he awarded a free kick to Tottenham? I'm absolutely bemused unless someone was offside in the build-up.
Gazzaniga's completely missed the ball and taken the man.
He is kung fu kicked him.
it's gone to VAR.
Yeah.
Hello. This is
That's
not
gotta be a penalty.
Are they trying to work out if he's got a touch to the ball? I don't think he has. The ball's not big at all.
Alonso doesn't do anything. So
No.
Possible penalty foul. Okay, VAR are checking. This decision's been pending for about 20 seconds. In yesterday's games, VAR was absolutely superb, worth mentioning, because we have bashed it on this show before. Decisions made, like for that Manchester City penalty, for example, very, very quickly. And they are just replaying the incident time and time again, and it just looks like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon now.
You know it's serious when you get the shot of Stockley Park with the four individual. That's when you know it's
big.
Why is it
Okay, so just to build a bit of suspense here, Anthony Taylor, is he reversing his decision?
Cannot be a free kick for Tottenham. That would be.
So Andre Flo's going to smash up the set.
Watch the gingerbread ready. Watch the gingerbread
ready, yeah. Yeah, as long as the gluten-free cakes remain undamaged, that's fine. Everything else is replaceable.
It's just got to be. He's missed the ball. He's took the man out. He's nearly kicked him in the head. If that's not a penalty, what's the point of having VAR?
Long deliberation, isn't it?
We've complimented the speed of VAR as well, and it's proceeded to take ages.
Penalty.
Yellow card as well.
Penalty Chelsea.
And that is probably just as well. That's outside the box. Obviously, it can't be a penalty and a red card, double jeopardy for Gazzaniga, but a red card offence anywhere else on the pitch in any other scenario, so he can count his lucky stars he's still on. Stephen, that's crazy.
It's like so rash. I don't know what he's doing. Why would you consider? Why as a goalkeeper would going with your leg be considerable an option in that? Why do you not go with your hands?
His legs are above his hand.
Hold on. This is the Willian. This is the brace.
This is the brace. The price boost is on,
This is the price boost.
I mean, the look on Stephen's face there, moment of the day, perhaps, because I think that just really encapsulated everyone's thoughts. What was Gazzaniga doing there?
I know. Willian.
Yes! We have a 2-0 lead for Chelsea. The prize boost is on. Chelsea's Champions League ambitions are on. It seems like they've turned around their recent slump of 4 losses in 6 games. In this game, of course, we still have a massive half to come. Never say never, but that, just before half-time, a huge moment in the game.
We talked about Aurier being rash. That's
rash.
That was crazy.
Good pen. Together too much. That's the problem.
Maybe, yeah.
Good pen by Willian. Sends the keeper the wrong way.
It's good, very good pen.
Yeah.
So, obviously, Marcos Alonso, 3 on goal in the build-up. Was there anything about Spurs' defending that predated the awful decision to Kung Fu kick Marcos Alonso in the head?
I've been so shocked by what's happened. I think I forgot about what happened beforehand. All I can just relive is him going out with his foot. I don't know. Like, the thing is, he's very consistent goalkeeper, and he's been very good for him. I think he's been excellent.
Well, his save percentage this season has actually been joint top.
Well, I actually felt that he was going to keep Lloris out when he comes back. I think he struggled to get back in the team, but I just can't fathom why you would do that.
Yeah. Is that something that, when a number 2 makes a decision like that, is that something that weighs very heavily on their selection moving forward, do you think? Because people start to be like, he's rash by nature, he's not a first choice goalkeeper.
It depends on how often he does it. Like, that's the thing. If a goalkeeper is consistently doing things that are questionable, then that's when it will come to mind. Up until this point, he's been very good, hasn't he? And his saves, like I said, his shots has been excellent shot stopper. So it's just very surprised that.
Jose was praising him big time after the Wolves game, wasn't he? Saying that it's really important when a keeper hasn't had much to do, but they can still make a really important save late on. That's what he did at Wolves. And he gained them 3 points, but he's cost them big time there.
Really hard to...
Just before half-time.
I mean, harder to retain your place when you do something like that. Maybe a disproportionate amount if you are a number 2.
Yeah, he has been excellent this season, hasn't he? So we can throw to some live scenes now. Of course, Willian.
I've been up and down with the VAR opinion, but today I'm
Big fan today.
Your VAR t-shirt.
The biggest winner today, not Frank Lampard's Chelsea, it's VAR. It's got the seal of approval from Tor André. Even though that decision took a good three minutes, didn't it? I think we're in the 49th minute before the penalty had been scored. Wow, what a moment before half-time. Guys, is that going to change the dynamic of Soccer? And hit that subscribe button, get your questions to Will, like I said, and he will be hitting us up. Let's take a few questions before we move on, Will.
Yes, more tactical. Everyone's a manager, aren't they, when they've not played a professional game in their life? But Yara Johansson says, Winks and Lo Celso on for Sissoko and Dyer. Stephen,
double substitution, Stephen.
I mean, we've seen Jose do it before, haven't we?
I do. I prefer Winks to Dyer, and just the way he gets around the pitch, he can influence the game more. He's got, I think, his energy, and he flies the tackles, and I think he's going forward for Tottenham. I think he's going to be really important for them. So I could see him coming on. I know Eriksen's on the bench, but you'd really think that putting Christian Eriksen would answer a lot of the problems that they're having because of creativity and finding those holes. But just the form he's been in at the moment, you just don't think he's going to come on and influence the game. But, you'd be looking for someone like him to try and come in and make a difference. Lo Celso is a very good player too. But I think Winks.
Torre, we spoke a lot about the attacking options. We spoke about Willian as well. Do you think that's why we've seen a renaissance of him, because of the likes of Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi pushing him to be that little bit better?
Yeah. It's always good with the competition, especially for these bigger teams. And particularly today, he's stepped up properly. Great first half. And, by the whole Chelsea team. I don't see they need to do many changes at half-time.
No, I don't think
We talk about stepping up, mate. Ash was saying prior to the game that Jose Mourinho's Manchester United, despite his very impressive win ratio, I think it's 1% lower than Ferguson, didn't turn up for the big games, and Tottenham were very ineffective against what was the game beforehand? Was it United?
Old Trafford,
I eventually got there, and it's been very similar 45 minutes here, right?
This is what United 45 minutes felt like. We were awful in the first half against big teams, and they're to be got at. And he did it at Old Trafford. He set up in a similar way, and we went for them. We were so much hungrier than them, and you can see that in Chelsea. The pressing they've been doing, winning every ball, and they've been the better team by far.
Even just that tactical change at the start to do 5 at the back would send not alarm bells, but you'd be on edge a little bit, wouldn't you?
Well, I think what you guys are talking about is evident in the match stats, which we can bring up on the screen for you. So. Attempts on target for Tottenham. Absolutely 0. Chelsea having 8 in total. So the visitors enjoying a really prosperous spell in front of goal. I mean,
they've been averaging a decent amount of shots per 90 this term. Chelsea, I think they're second or third in the league to Liverpool and Manchester City. So they have been very productive going forward. But 8.5 away from home does point out their dominance. It's a pretty damning stat. Flo will be back in a second, gentlemen. He's not just, ladies and gentlemen, he's not just disappeared. That is not a party trick of...
You should have said that. That's your little David Blaine for Christmas.
And that's him out. He's that confident of the result. He's left the building.
Delighted.
Do those numbers surprise you at all?
Yeah, very surprised, because then before the game we spoke about how good Tottenham have been going forward. Yeah. The front four, how we thought that they would dictate the game, and it's been the complete opposite, complete reverse. Like there, Chelsea's Mount has been excellent. Abraham's held the ball up well. Willian has been superb, and they've really influenced the game, and that's complete shock. But I suppose Chelsea have changed their system, so they've gone with a 5 to combat against Tottenham's front four, and Tottenham have stayed with a back four, and the front four of Chelsea are getting at them and getting forward and finding the space and creating a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, particularly down that left-hand side with Willian cutting in. Have we got any cutting questions?
Yes, plenty of cutting questions coming in. And if you want to get involved as well, use the hashtag TFS. We spoke a lot about Spurs in the January transfer window, Stephen. But do you think because of the injuries to like Lo Celso and Ryan Sessegnon and Dembele been used like is it almost like a spare part? Do you think we've not seen the best from the summer transfers yet?
Yeah, well, they haven't really had a chance to play, really, have they? Sessegnon hasn't kicked the ball at all, and I think him going forward is going to be a great player for Tottenham. I've watched him quite a lot of Fulham, and he's very good, naturally talented, plays in the wing, plays full back, and you just think he's going to be excellent for them. Lo Celso as well, another player who, again, game time has been limited, so you haven't really able to get a full picture of what he's capable of doing in this team by having real game time. And then Dembele, another player who was big money signing and feels like he could be a stand-in midfielder, but again, it's been limited in game time. So that when these players do get back fit, and if Mourinho fancies them, then they will be like having new signings in that squad because they've not really been able to influence the team.
It's a very good point, because there were some of those players under Pochettino, felt like they were coming to the end of their time there. You said earlier. Actually here, not live scenes from Jose Mourinho, because I bet he's going off in that changing room after that performance, but more on his philosophy moving forward over the short to medium term at Tottenham.
Good. Nice to see you. You okay? Everything is good. Do you remember this? What? You owe him £20.
I have more than £20. I have £20, and I have this for the studio for the next time you go to the studio.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Where
much.
do I sit?
Have a sit here. Great to see you again.
Thank you.
We miss you.
I miss you too.
Do you?
I do. I do. I'm loving my job, but I miss you. Yeah.
How did you find that environment, Jose? Because you obviously made it very clear that you wanted to work. For us, I suppose, we always knew it was going to happen. It was a question of
when.
When, yeah.
And for me, it was a question of when and where, because I had no idea, and Tottenham was totally unexpected.
Come on, this must have been one of the jobs you had half an eye on.
I didn't have the feeling that could happen. Of course, the results were not the best, especially compared with last year's. But I was not feeling it.
One thing that I really enjoyed when you were with us on Super Sunday was the level of tactical detail that you're able to give us. That I can't normally get, Jose, with some people that I work with.
No, you can't.
What are you talking about?
You can. You are great.
I wanted to ask you about, I heard you saying that the most important thing for you was not signing players in January, it was that time you were going to spend with them. Can you give us any idea of the kind of work that you will have to do on the training pitch which makes the team in your image?
At that level, you cannot make miracles. You have players that are ready to follow you, or you don't have no miracles. So I don't want to say if we are going to reach something, we are going to reach something because I made a miracle. I don't make miracles. It's just to give the players, or just to add the players to follow their route, to follow, to help them to develop their mentality. But when you think about a week and you try to develop the team globally, and you want to work tactically, you want to work physically, you want to work the intensity, to work the pressing well is high intense work. How can you do high intense work if you play yesterday and if you play tomorrow? So you work pressingly by the theory point of view, with analysts, with analyze, with videos, with nice screens. It's not the same. You need time to work. So this week was a good week. More good weeks are coming in January, in February. I hope that you can develop. And by the way, I have to thank Sky and the broadcasters that we are going to play 2 days before Leipzig.
Yeah, take that on the chin.
We can't solve everything. We've seen an uplift.
You could play a Saturday, not Sunday.
Have you worked out what you need yet? Or was it too soon?
When I arrived, we had potentially 3 important players leaving. In this moment, we have potentially 2 top players leaving. It's going to be 2, 1 or 0. I can't tell you. But in this moment, 3, not for sure.
Well, what's your hunch on 2, 1 or 0?
I'm very happy that it's not 3.
Yeah.
Yesterday was 3, and this morning is only 2. Of course.
Do you think that's your influence with Toby?
I don't think so. I think I read some quote of Toby saying that there is no place where I can be happier than this. And I think this is the biggest reason why he's staying, because probably a better contract he could even get somewhere. But no, there is no place where I could be happier. Helps the fact that since I arrived, he played every minute of every match. Probably, yes. Probably he has the feeling of, with this guy, I'm going in principle to play. I'm going in principle to be a first choice. Maybe that helps.
Jose talking a lot there about work that needs doing in the medium to long term. Stephen, how long do you think he needs with this team to kind of really imprint his philosophy? He signed a 4-year deal, which is pretty ambitious for Jose Mourinho, isn't it?
That's the thing.
Sort of,
yeah, you're not used to him staying that long at teams. So, but you feel hopefully that, you know, as he gets, I think that he's talking about getting the grips with them, seeing what he has in his squad, getting to know the players, seeing if he can get more from them, and then at that point go into the window and see where he needs to either bring players in to strengthen the squad, replace players, or, you know, just sometimes you need to add a player just to get the other players to keep them on their toes, keep them on track, because, you know, if you feel like you've always going to play and you're never being tested, sometimes the player comes in that's in your position and they just give you that rivalry between them, gives that little bit of extra that you need. So, but you know, it's going to be, you'd like to see them win something this season. Hopefully that's the case. I don't know whether that will be or not. I'm ambitious, but you feel like the next season going forward, you think hopefully next year they'd be in a stronger position.
I mean, he's often, throughout his career, hasn't he, played a player in the wrong position to really make a point of needing a signing. And we see Vertonghen deployed at left-back over someone like Danny Rose. That would suggest that he feels that he needs to strengthen the full-back area. What do you think to that whole dynamic, someone playing left-back who's traditionally a centre-half? Has that affected this game at all, or recent games?
I felt it was going to affect him more. I said it to you, I said if Willian plays against Vertonghen, I would have felt that would have been a tougher test for Vertonghen, because Willian is so good in those areas. But I think Vertonghen does well in that place, even though that's not naturally his position, and sometimes pace, that's where you can get done when you're wide and you're exposed 1v1. But I think he's done okay. But when you have someone like Danny Rose on the bench, and you just feel, for Mourinho, you'd want to just get him firing, because he can be such a talent. It can be such an outlet for them going forward as well, because with Vertonghen, for his all defensive qualities, and he does get forward well at times, but he doesn't have that relentlessness up and down. There we go.
Christian Eriksen, that is a tasty substitution. We'll get confirmation of who he came on for very shortly. But Jose, very quickly back to a seat. Tottenham team out first, and little shake of the head from him there. Looks like he means business.
Tottenham.
He's looking a little bit less like the humble one there and more like the annoyed one after that performance. I mean, back-to-back losses against his old clubs would be a dent in the ego, wouldn't it? So what are we anticipating now? Christian Eriksen's coming on. As Chelsea, how do you adjust for that substitution?
I don't think Chelsea would adjust so much to begin with. I think the plan would be to do pretty much the same as they did in the first half. I think Tottenham now are looking more to take control of the game. That's why Eriksen is coming on. He's a good passer of the ball, isn't he? So they're probably looking to get the ball early to him and from there find the attacking players.
Yeah, I can't remember any combination play from Tottenham throughout that first half, really, and hopefully that is what he brings to the side. Ash, one club he has been linked with pretty incessantly, Manchester United, and apparently he's available for 30 mil. In the summer, we're talking about him going to Real Madrid for upwards of 100 million. Surely at that price, you just bite the bullet.
No, I don't think I would.
You madman.
So, I think I said it before, it's not the same, but it's similar to Sanchez in that he was at a big club and he wasn't doing that well. He'd come to the end of his time there and he was looking for a move. And it feels a little bit like that with Eriksen. I'd rather we went for someone like a James Maddison, personally. I might be massively wrong, but I think James Maddison is a better fit for what United want to do than Christian Eriksen right now. Even though he's only, 27?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. If that's the argument, I think you go with James Maddison, but it's probably going to take about, you got to stick a 1 in front of that 30 to get him out of Leicester, right? If you were paying £80 million for their centre-half. Where do you guys stand on Christian Eriksen, particularly you, Stephen?
I feel that the downturn in Tottenham has been almost based around his lack of form. I think he's been so influential for this team over the last few seasons. I know Harry Kane and Dele Alli as well, but I think he's been so influential in the way they play football, the way he passes the ball, the amount of opportunities he creates for them. But I think the fact he hasn't been playing well has been a huge influence on them not performing as well this season. And you'd love to see him back in playing well for them.
Yeah, I mean, cut Harry Kane's supply line off, hasn't he? Just to confirm, that was Eric Dyer coming off for Christian Eriksen. Sorry, Ash, go on.
Any insight into why, as a player, things just change so, it seems so dramatically?
I'm not sure why it's happened for him, because he seems so happy at the club and like he's adored by the fans there. Probably less so now, but they love him and he was doing so well, and you just kind of feel it doesn't make sense for me. Maybe he just had his mindset to go. Maybe that was it. Real Madrid came calling, and that could have been what turned his head and made him feel like that. You know, and that can happen to a player, and you feel like they're not going to give me my opportunity to go and play for one of the biggest teams in the world, and you know. But now Mourinho's there. You would think maybe he could turn that around, hopefully. But like I said, he's such a talent, and I've watched him a lot as well, because every qualifying group Ireland seems to get Denmark. So, regardless of what it is, someone said if you're playing in the Asian, we get Denmark. But it's just whatever. So I've seen a lot of them, and even for Denmark, we've had a better opportunity of beating them because he's not been in form.
Yeah.
And I just think, you know, if you get him back to anywhere near what he was, he'd be such an influence for Tottenham.
There it is.
So you can help us.
What
a almost a brilliant ball from Willian. You can kind of give us a little bit more insight as well into the mindset of a player on a cusp of a big money move, which you've got to assume that Christian Eriksen is now. Whether it's to Manchester United or Real Madrid. I mean, you left Chelsea for an awful lot of money when you went to Rangers, and it sickens me to bring Rangers up on the show. And of course, this is the older iteration of Rangers, not the new Rangers we see now. But can you take us through your mindset when you were moving clubs?
Yeah, it's always a bit of an uncertain time, because you're going into something new and you're going into something big. You're excited but scared a bit at the same time. But talking a little bit about players doing well and suddenly not so well, I kind of recognized myself in that a little bit. There were periods where things didn't go well, and I couldn't understand why. Doing the same things in training and everything, but suddenly your performance dipped, and with that, if you dip a little bit, your confidence goes down, and then you struggle to get back up again. So it's not always easy to explain why it happens.
How did you get over that then? Was it just a matter of powering through, or?
It was having a very positive mindset, telling your brain that, oh no, you can do this, you can do that, and try to just turn it around and go upwards. Also, I like to train a bit on my own sometimes, just to score goals, for example. Just get that feeling. Oh, now.
Do you celebrate when you're on your own when you score them?
Very good question.
Inside of me, yeah. That can be just as important. You can scream loud without anyone hearing it.
I suppose it can be. Like Harry Kane has experienced a little bit of a dip in form on a domestic level, right? I mean, internationally, he's been great. And a lot of people saying, you know, maybe injury's taken its toll, or the amount of minutes he's racked up has taken its toll. Not a lot of people talking about how Christian Eriksen was his main supply line. And when another part of the team changes, I suppose that can be difficult to deal with. If you're, you know, a striker, for example, in Harry Kane. What have you noticed about his game this season, Stephen, that's been different from when he's been so prolific
in times gone by.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. If your supply line is not there the same as it has been before, and it's not the same player who you relied on, and you're on the same wavelength with, and you know when he gets the ball, if I move to a certain space on air, he'll try and find me, sees me. If that's changed, then the dynamics of what you're doing is changing. And for Harry Kane, he's such a good talent, and he will score goals. If he's given the opportunity, he'll score goals. He probably hasn't been given the opportunity as much with the likes of Christian Eriksen not performing and not playing at the level that he was at, and Mourinho's going to have to change that. He's got Dele Alli back up to that level to some extent, and Dele Alli is kind of like a Lampard, and that's what Mourinho will want for him, in making those runs into the box, making late decisions, scoring goals from midfield, which is what he got the best out of Lampard when he was there. So I'm sure he sees a bit of that in him, but getting all those players around him.
Willian's free.
God,
Tammy Abraham.
Should have gone
left. Should have gone to Willian.
Acres of space. Ash, break that down before we go for some questions.
It was a counter-attack. Mason Mount running through the heart of Spurs, and he had two options. Tammy Abraham peeled off the centre-back, but Willian was in acres of space to his left. He chose Tammy Abraham, and he couldn't get the shot away. And good recovery, I think, from Alderweireld in the middle.
Where was Sergio during the build-up of that? I think was he still down the tunnel?
He's missing. He's gone missing. He's had a bad afternoon.
For the moment, this is perfect for Chelsea. They're sitting back and counter-attacking.
Yeah. Towards ecstatics. Yeah, so a slight change in tack, and that's what we were sort of getting at in the first half, weren't we? Where if they went in with a comfortable, I know 2-0 is, everyone reports it as a dangerous scoreline, but that changed the dynamic of what Chelsea had to do, I guess, in the second half.
Well, if Tottenham have to get after them now and push men forward and take more risks and chances, then Chelsea are so quick on the counter-attack, you can see more opportunities like that happening for Chelsea, can't you? Because that's kind of what happens. You get drawn out a bit further because you're trying to get yourself back into the game.
Stephen, one question
Is he on?
Hello.
Son's on?
Back to this in a second, and it's gone off. Stephen, one question I had for you about the winter window before I forget. I saw a quote from you when you moved to Reading, say that's the best football decision I've made in my career. I don't know if you would change that in retrospect.
What do you mean, best football decision?
Well, hold on.
We were getting along fine.
Before this becomes personal, why was that? Why did you feel moving at that point in the season was so productive for you as a player?
Just to play, really. Sometimes, at the time, I just signed a new contract at Fulham, actually, and I was in and out of the team, but you get to a point in your career where you just want to play football and you want to play every week, and that's what Reading were offering me. So at the time it was perfect, but it was great. I spoke to the manager, great ideas, and Brian McDermott, and really got on board what I want to do, and I was like, this is fantastic for me. Went there in the first few months, we were brilliant. We were unbeaten for the whole of January and into February. It was fantastic, and then we lost 1 or 2 games and McDermott got the sack, and it was like, what's going on here? So then everything changes. What seems like a great decision because you're going there based on what the manager is doing for you. Then that changes for you, and it's unbelievable how that quickly in football, situations go from being so happy and wonderful to not being so much.
To dependent on factors outside of your control.
Yeah.
So it wasn't to extinguish any memories at Birmingham City then?
No. I spoke before about Birmingham, saying that when I went there first, it was just such an important part of my career to go and play every week, and I left Tottenham and went there under Steve Bruce, so I have a lot of time for, and I just thought he was excellent for me, and as a manager and as a defender he was able to give me so many good points, and Birmingham was great for me.
Do you remember what was so special about the 07-08 season?
The fact I played every minute.
Every minute. Only player to play every minute of that season in the Premier League.
Wow.
Only year I've only had a season ticket as well, so...
I'm not going to say there's a direct relation, but...
No, why are we meeting now? I'm just saying. Correlation there.
Right, let's go to the comments then, because I have been, just asking my own.
Lots of questions coming in. One about Pochettino. Where do we think he will end up next?
Oh.
Good question.
Where do you think?
Where do we think?
You seem like the man with the inside knowledge today. January transfers.
No, I actually have no clue. It could be if one of the bigger ones in England, I would have thought, get the sack. But there's not that many places left to be sacked for now.
What about you, Stephen? Where do you think?
I would have thought Bayern or someone. That's kind of what jumps out at me. So I think for him, if he can go somewhere where he's almost guaranteed to get trophies, just so he can get that off his back a little bit, that would benefit him, because he's the nearly manager, isn't he? He's done so well, got this team to being fantastic, and done, considering how well he did without transfers and stuff. But if he can go somewhere where he's almost guaranteed to get a trophy, I think that would be good for
I
him.
guess that's what he would.
That's what he would want.
Want,
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
he would want. Yeah.
Is this Pochettino? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
missed the first. I think Bayern have just confirmed
I
that
just
Hansi
saw-
Flick
I just saw that,
is going to be in charge until the end of the season. But we've all agreed on Euro Football Daily that would be a great destination for him. I'm hearing from the stats in the gallery, guys. The last time that Tottenham turned around a 2-0 deficit in the Premier League was 2010, Stephen, against Arsenal. So big game, but not that happy. And now we have a price boost that sort of embodies that. So Tottenham to win 3-2, 18-1.
Tasty.
All over that.
Get a Queen's nose on that.
Great
What a
programme.
programme.
Great.
For the moment, I can't see that happening
know.
just now.
And that is Tor's tip. and Tor's tip is going to become a regular feature on the show. Whether it's on or not, I'll be ringing up on my mobile every single week from here on in. Let's have some more comments. That was a great question, though.
Yes, lots of people talking about the tactical approach by both teams. Kurt Zouma's on a yellow card, Torre, a man that you will know very well. Is that someone we could maybe see Reece James introduced later on, just to ease that burden?
It could
Mason
be,
Mount, that's
but-
brilliant.
Oh yeah, let's see what happens here.
Play him in. Where's the rest of the ball?
Willian.
Nah, William's got. Come on, 1v1.
You'd fancy it against. Is that Southampton?
No, it's. Sorry, it's Southampton.
Sergio.
Alonso! Abraham! No, flags up, flags up.
Oh, I was going to say, it's just as well we stopped there. I mean, radio silence in the studio because that was a very dangerous attack from Chelsea. Willian nearly getting in down the left-hand side. Abraham
Is
tapping
VAR
it.
coming up?
Is it off? So Willian's got the ball on the edge of the box and then
Sergio
breaks to
Aurier,
Alonso.
yeah, just-
Oh yeah, it's
He is off,
offside.
he is, yeah.
Stood still.
He's a good yard offside.
Yeah.
Sneaker.
Yeah,
He
a
knew it was
little bit
a
ropey from the goalkeeper there. Sorry, what was the question we were answering?
Yeah, I forgot the question as well. Sorry.
Zuma on a yellow card.
Zuma, yeah. I don't think Zuma is not the most aggressive guy. I think he would control his emotions and could stay on for the rest, I would have thought.
Has it been pleasing for you? Because he had that shaky start to the season, but since then he's found his form, and especially in that back line, he's grown in confidence.
He's been quite solid, I think, and done really well.
People are necessarily harsh on him, I feel, at the start of the season. After
Yeah.
that, was it the Liverpool performance or
United.
Manchester United?
Yeah.
Of course, the 4-0, yeah.
4-0, yeah.
Yeah. No, he's been quite important for Chelsea, actually. I thought, there's some good competition back there, but he's done really well to be playing that much.
One of the moments of the season as well when he beat about 4 men from the
Yeah,
the
I
halfway
remember
line
that, yeah.
against Ajax. And then shot like he was a centre back in the 12-yard
bit
box.
tired at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah, fair enough.
Mourinho signing, wasn't he?
Yeah. Are we seeing any? Is Christian Eriksen making a difference? Let's say in the first couple of minutes after half time.
He's got on the ball, hasn't
Yeah,
he?
he has been on the ball a lot, trying to dictate, but just getting snuffed out every time they're trying to create an attack. I think Mason Mount's been one of Chelsea's best players by getting the
good,
ball
yeah.
back, actually, yeah.
I say first couple of minutes. We're actually 11 minutes in.
We are.
Such has been, the level of conversation, guys. I've totally forgot what minute we're in, and it's definitely not because the TV is covering what minute we're in down there. So. Right. Ball's back with Chelsea, Willian on the left-hand side. I would say he's probably my man of the match so far.
Oh,
Willian.
what a ping!
Oh, wow.
Right on cue.
It's a fantastic
Look at
ball.
this.
Aspilicueta around the
him.
side.
Ash take over the reins then while Chelsea attack, mate.
Kante's got the ball on the edge of the box, out to Aspilicueta. It slowed down a bit. It was from a really good diagonal
Touch,
pass.
so
from Willian.
Aspilicueta's touch, if he takes
Perfect.
that,
Yeah,
perfect. If he takes a
Perfect,
better
isn't it?
touch, he's just in an unbelievable position to cross in.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris, it's hard to argue with Willian as man of the match so far, isn't it?
I think you're right about
very
Mount.
good.
Mount has been very important for
Yeah,
him.
yeah, he has.
When he's got the ball, he's driven forward really
Yeah.
well, gotten them out of the half, and
The energy levels from him as well. He's been pressing really, really well, hasn't he?
Oh, it's got to be off. Oh no, he won't
thought
be.
that was off as
Aspilicueta
well.
ball into the box and cleared by Aurier.
And that might be a little, that chance there, only Tammy Abraham inside the box, may be a little bit of a sign that Chelsea aren't going to commit as many men going forward, aren't going to be quite as risky in their play, but Willian's still getting in, and he's giving Aurier a
Free kick.
really, really hard time, as well as Sissoko, who fouled him there.
Is
and picks up a
Sissoko
yellow
playing right
card.
back?
he's covering for Aurier.
Why?
Unless
Give
there
a
was
free kick there.
Was there a tactical change at half time that we've not cottoned on to? Because that is the second time he's found himself at right back, isn't it?
And even for the Tammy offside,
Yeah.
Serge was near the halfway line. I don't know if that's just because he's that bad of a right back, but
It could well be.
Oh.
Right, let's have some more questions then.
yes, Stephen, you mentioned your time at Fulham and couldn't have you on the show for that. Mentioning that Europa League run, what are some of your fantastic memories from that?
I suppose the biggest game with Juventus, that's got to be the one.
Clint Dempsey,
That's,
teach
yeah,
me.
That was
that's got to
unbelievable.
be the one, yeah. Just to go from being 3-1 down over there and, you know, in Turin to come back and beat them 4-1, and they scored after like 5 minutes.
Was it Trezeguet?
Trezeguet scored, yeah. But then Cannavaro gets sent off. Even naming these players is
The
really
names, isn't it? Yeah, Cannavaro got sent off.
Who were you marking in that game? Do you remember?
I don't know. We were
Not
playing,
Cameronese, was it?
Yeah, it was Cameronese. Yeah,
I'll have a look.
It was weird. They were just. But after they scored, we just were on top like for so much of the game. Like we really just pressed them, and then Clint that chip the last minute was just at last 5 minutes of the game.
Was it the fierce atmosphere at Craven Cottage?
But I think I wouldn't say Craven Cottage was famous for it, but that night it was unbelievable. I think it's such a small ground, tight though, and the fans do get into it. It's amazing, but like it was just. Yeah, Gears was fab. Like Gears was about Bobby as well.
Swimming in nostalgia right now.
Yeah, no, it was just amazing experience, and to get to the final, like I know we came short in the end, but just to, you know, considering the squad of players we would have had wouldn't have been that big, and then you know, we started off in July. You know, when you start Europa League early on, the games, I think we played 60 games that season. It was ridiculous. Yeah. So.
Was that an Atletico with Forlan and Aguero up top?
Forlan scored twice in that game.
Yeah, he wasn't bad, was he?
That wasn't bad, yeah.
That was under Roy Hodgson.
Under Roy,
How was he as a manager to work with? You know, he's quite cagey in post-match interviews. He can cut quite a militant figure on the sideline. But how is he behind the scenes?
Roy's excellent. He's a fantastic manager. He really is such a good manager. Like just on the training ground every day, in and out.
I'm back.
Just one watching. Did he actually kick out there?
Kicked out.
Let's go back to Roy after this, Will.
Kicking out a bit there.
What's happened there with Son?
He's on the floor,
he has actually.
and he has reached out. He's not really made contact, but he has tried to lay the boot into him. Rudiger not playing the role of a centre-back very well, but...
VAR is looking at it. Violent conduct.
I think he could go for that.
Yeah.
So basically, Son's roll on the floor, and he's kicked up at Rudiger's chest.
No way he needs to do it. He's on the floor.
There's no way to...
Might just be a bit of a yellow, no?
Oh, no.
I mean, we don't want to see anyone sent off, but we also don't want to see people raking up other players with their boot. That's not great from Son.
Son's in my fantasy team.
He's normally got such a good temperament as well.
I know.
That's very uncharacteristic from Son.
There they are.
Let's...
People saying that's a red in the comments.
Okay, people booting off in the comments. Judge Judy
not as clear as the penalty, but...
Okay, Anthony Taylor having to deliberate on a big decision, not for the first time in this game, and Son is pleading with Rudiger. Rudiger doesn't care. Let's see how this manifests, because this is another huge moment in the game.
Possible.
And he's looking up at the board. He's saying on a...
I absolutely love VAR. For content, VAR is fantastic.
As well, that possible red card moment as the player. As the player looking up at that, you must think...
Possible assault.
Okay.
There's no need for him to do it.
It's taken a long time to make a decision.
I think he's going to go here.
It's a difficult decision, that.
He's gone.
Oh, Son's off!
Absolute theatre.
He's on the floor. He's on his knees. Son is off.
I mean, he can get down to his knees, but
like Rudiger has made a man of it, but
it was really unnecessary.
To do that. Like you're giving them the chance to send you off by doing that.
Stephen, you come out as the side behind. You've already made a change. For a man to be sent off here is just apocalyptic, isn't it?
Yeah, especially someone that he's not being influenced in the game so much, but you know how good he is and how much he can turn a game when he's on form. So this is devastating.
Makes no sense.
I think if there's anyone else but Son, it's like we're all straight red, but because Son's such a nice guy, we're like,
it's like Juan Mata. Come on.
Did he really do that?
That's what you get for talking about Roy Hodgson on the show, apparently. It's not a player sent off, Stephen. So.
That's a big moment in the game.
As a Chelsea fan, great to see. As an ex-professional, not so much. But how do you think this is going to play into Chelsea's hands?
I think now it's going to be so difficult for Tottenham to come back now 2-0 down. Yeah, if they can get anything out of this now.
Tottenham struggled to break them down with with a man less. It's going to be even harder, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is his second red in. He was sent off against Bournemouth at the end of last season, wasn't he? So. He's getting a little bit of building up a bit of pedigree in that.
He's such a nice player.
It's false though, isn't it? That smile, we can't believe him anymore. Sergio Aurel's going to have to step up.
All right, will this make the game a non-contest? Let's see, because if Tottenham get the next goal, playing against 10 men can be quite tricky, can't it? Of course, that is me clutching at straws at the moment because Chelsea sitting pretty comfortably. Wonder what Jose Mourinho would do from here. Stephen, do you think this is going to
is going to lead him to any other drastic changes?
Sure, what you really can do on the stage. You would have been hoping for Eriksen to come in and link up with Son and Kane to get it back into it, but now he's gone. Do you throw another attacking player on and leave yourself more exposed? Because
who else have they got on the bench? Like
Lascelles, wasn't it?
Lamella? Is Lamella injured?
Apparently plan A is for Sissoko to turn into Messi there, slalom into the box, beating 3 men. Let's see if he can sustain that. Great bit of play there from Sergio on the ball. I think both teams don't really know where they're at the moment for the time being, do they? For the next 2 minutes, let's see how this pans out. What was the reception to that red card in the comments?
I mean, even before the VAR had been made, all the comments were saying it was a red card, and I think everyone was in agreement, really, just more in a shock that it was Heung-min Son to do that. Lots of questions coming in. Before we had the red card, there was lots flying in, and we spoke about Ancelotti before, but obviously this weekend as well. Arteta is starting his role at Arsenal today. What do we make of that, gents? Tora?
Arteta, I played a little bit with him actually at Rangers.
Let's keep this anecdote short then if it's about Rangers.
What's happening now is the coach is arguing now.
Jose going to get sent off?
Who?
No, Arteta. I think that's good. Obviously, he doesn't have the experience, so I can't say what's going to happen.
On the pitch, interesting.
I think. Did you see this? What Rudiger? Rudiger made a sign there as if something was said to him.
Oh, really? Okay, what, something that's over?
I think so. Yeah.
I hope not. I hope that's not the case.
It only showed it briefly, and then he pointed. So I don't know.
Right. We'll keep you guys clued up as to what's going on at the moment. There's a fair bit of confusion around it. Hopefully,
that isn't the case in the stands, but something was thrown onto the pitch. We can confirm. Oritha Balaga, not best pleased with that, nor should he be, because that's absolutely atrocious behaviour. When your team's 2-0 up, why? I mean, why do something like that? Full stop. But
and that's expensive as well when you're in the stadium. Yeah. You've got to be thinking about that.
That's a £9 bottle of water.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not to trivialise the situation, but that needs some consideration. Well, you're right.
Caps off as well. So.
Right, okay, so this has slowed the game down, not for the first time. So we're dealing with a fair few stoppages. Let's see how this plays out. But I am hearing if Jose loses this game, it'll be the first time he's lost a home game to one of his old clubs. Normally Pips his old teams, doesn't he? To the post, but it wasn't the case against United, wasn't the case against Chelsea here. So
can't wait for him to unravel.
And there we have it.
Arteta, Stephen, what do you make of him?
Yeah, I think it's a tough task to go in there, considering the lack of experience he has as a manager and managing these teams. But what he does have is he's been under Pep Guardiola, and you kind of feel if he's taken an ounce of what Guardiola does in with him, in the sense of his man management style, the way he gets his team firing, it's in a very different group of players as well. Like you look at City, they're always on top form, playing relentless. Arsenal's different. He's going to change it up, and he knows the culture of Arsenal slightly. He's there for as a player, so he understands the link between the fans and them and how disgruntled they've been over the last while. So it's a tough task for him, but it's nice to see another young manager get given an opportunity at a big club, and hopefully he can go in there and get some time.
Also nice to see that that he's been playing there and then go by, similar to Lampard. So at least
their youngest ever manager at 37. And when you played with him at Rangers, did you, much like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, did you think he was someone that would foray into management? Because he had that analytical mind, he played that position that normally translates to a really good understanding of the game.
He wasn't the best in English at the time, so I didn't have deep conversations. But he did really well up there as well. So a clever player.
Were you there at the same time as Gattuso?
No.
Oh, that would have been. I want it because he's just obviously been employed by Napoli. He could have got all these new manager anecdotes from tour. Yeah. But sadly not.
I find like the football world is like the perception is slightly warped in that people are saying Arteta, that's a great move, that's the right move, and people are saying Ancelotti, that's a bit risky. Do you know what I mean? On 3 Champions League, Arteta's never managed. I find that quite strange. I don't know if that's just me. But
it is. It's just a sense that that it seems to be on trend now with players that are just out of the game, getting into jobs and doing well, and that seems to be the done thing at the moment. It's trendy, isn't it?
But isn't the thing with Everton that it's not so much challenging Ancelotti's credentials, but questioning as to whether he's the right candidate for a team that are in the bottom half of the table? Because he's made a career of perfecting teams that are already quite good.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think anyone's saying like that he's not as good a manager as Arteta.
No.
But it seems like a bit of a mismatch.
It doesn't seem the right
But if you're Everton and you've got the opportunity to employ
yeah.
him, even if it goes catastrophically wrong, do it.
But that's
Get Zlatan in on a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
What do you think then? As an Everton, as someone that's kind of been at, Premier League clubs of that sort of stature, when an Ancelotti comes in, what effect would that have on the players?
It's a huge coup, like, to get a manager like that, and the manager has won that many trophies. Like, he's won the league in 4 different countries, I think. Like, it's unbelievable. But again, he's going in totally different circumstances. He's not going there and they're just off the top and they're going to go try and push them to win it. He's trying to stop them from getting relegated, and their fixture list over the Christmas period is horrendous, I think, because of the teams they're playing. So he's got a tough task against them. And, the goodwill factor that Duncan Ferguson has brought in, you can see him trying to keep that on board by... I think he's going to stay there as well. And as a manager, as a player, when a manager like that comes in, you're just thinking, God, look at what this guy's won. You should be able to learn something from him. You should be able to bring something to my game and get more out of me, because he has won things and he's got players to that level. But again, Everton are in just a bit of a transition now when it comes to where they want to be and where they are.
You spoke about how Bruce did that for you, to bring this back to Roy Hodgson as a manager. How did he help you kind of cultivate your game?
Roy is just very meticulous on the training ground every day, takes every session himself. Like, you've never seen anything like it. Like, we would joke before that, we'd be begging for a 5-a-side because it was just always team shape. But what happened on the week would just literally happen on the Saturday. The same patterns of play would go from the training pitch to the match day, and it was just relentless. And the way he had to set up, 2 wingers ball would go up to midfield, back to the full-backs, ball into Bobby Zamora, Duff would come off the line, or Simon Davis would come off the line, and it just happened all the time because we did it but he's a perfectionist, he really is. Like, if you're in training, you misplace a pass, no, bring it back to the start again, bring it back to the start again. Like, he's Roy can be an aggressive guy and get on top of you. He doesn't take things lightly, but his all round, how well he dictates a training session and gets the team to perform well is excellent. I've a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a lot of things in the game, hasn't he? And his time at England didn't necessarily end that well, but at club level, he's not just done it for Fulham, right? West Brom, he did an excellent job. Crystal Palace have one of the best defences in the league this season, at least in terms of goals scored. And I guess you more so than others would have an appreciation of why that is.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think when he went to Liverpool, it was just a different culture and the way they were expected to play that obviously didn't work out as well for him. But when he was at a West Brom or a Fulham, and he had players that were a decent standard, but he could get them to almost overachieve to some extent, which is I'm not being disrespectful to us or the way we played. We had a very good side. But he did help us in a better shape and the way we played to get us to a level that we were comfortable and performing on a regular basis.
He's almost quite Italian in that sense, isn't it?
He learned. He spent time in Italy and managed Inter Milan. So you can see he has that sense of defensive solidity, midfield players working hard, wingers have to have an up and down attitude. They can't just be attack minded, they have to track back, and very much so.
Nice. Ash, what happened there then? There was some noise from the crowd. It was Chelsea.
It was actually Spurs on the attack.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was. Ball was played out to Serge Aurier, and he actually did well against the fullback. Got a ball into the box, but good defending at the front post by Tomori. Snuffed out again. It's actually from Jorginho losing the ball, who's come on for Kovacic, by the way.
Okay.
But yeah, again, Chelsea just looked very comfortable at the back.
It definitely seems to be a tactical change, because Azpilicueta and then on the left back Alonso, they've got so much free space on the overlap of the time. I don't know if it's like a central 3 now.
I mean, what a way to see out, what a player to bring on to see out a game, Jorginho, who can just dictate the tempo and flow at will. We have another price boost for you, and this one, it could very well be on given the current state of affairs. Willian hat-trick, 7-1 odds accurate time of recording and subject to change. See the website for more details. You have to be 18 plus to play along. It's just gone 8-1, I've been told. They're updating these so quickly that our graphics have expired. All right, so 8-1. And who thought that? I mean, he's been good at the start of this season, but who'd have thought he'd been a deciding factor in this game? What happened there, Ash? Great interchange in the top.
Great interchange. Alonso's so far forward. He's in the box. He's played a 1-2 with Mount, and Mount tried to get it across to Abraham, but the defender did well. I think it was Alderweireld again. Look at Alonso. He's basically a second centre forward.
You can see that with the way the man less Tottenham, the fullbacks or the wing-backs have been able to get forward further and
short
part of the
corner.
pitch, yeah.
Kante's going to hit this on the edge of the box.
I love that from Kante. Oh!
Unlucky.
Bit of swaz on that. I mean, a lot of parallels between Alonso and Serge Aurier in how kind of good they are going forward. Alonso very good from a set piece as well. Did you enjoy playing with fullbacks like that, or when you were paired up with an attack-minded fullback on the other side, did you think I have to be the defensively solid one?
I think as a fullback, it depends on what team you're playing in or who you're playing with you. Just it dictates how you can get forward. Like when I was at Tottenham, I had Ledley King playing centre back, so I could get forward as often as I wanted, basically. So it does totally changes. It's like Liverpool now. When Van Dijk plays, they can do what they want to fullbacks because they know he's there. Getting cut out because they can cover that space. So for me at Tottenham, I could go forward and join in. It was great. At Burnley it was different. We were on the defensive a bit more, so
Tell me about it, brother.
Yeah. So I had to stay back, and that side of my game became more of it. So being a centre back, that became that defensive instinct for me became more evident because I'd have to cover the centre backs more and we'd be tight knit together. I'd get forward as often as I could, but you were more under the cushion. You're just defensively trying to keep your shape and your unit about you, but totally dictated as a full back by who you're playing beside.
And we've had him on the show before, was his transition from training or lack of training even to being one of the best players on the pitch at a weekend is as amazing to see firsthand as people make out Ledley King?
Unbelievable. So I came through the academy at Tottenham and Ledley had come through the academy in front of me, so he was the one you always looked up to and was like, oh, that's if you could be anything like Ledley into the first team. But it's unbelievable that he would not train and have so little, no training time, be on the bike or doing whatever he was just to manage himself, and then to go and be outstanding every week. Like he was phenomenal football. Like the best centre back I've ever played with, hands down, and just a joy to have beside you, really. And he was very quiet. Like but he didn't need to shout and scream. He just did it. So his actions spoke much louder.
Leading by example.
Yeah.
Was that the same as having Radhi Jaidi next year as well? Or was that a different
Radhi
experience?
Jaidi and Bruno Ngotti slightly different, I think.
Leaders in their own right.
In their own right.
Yeah. Can do it.
Slightly different.
Would not know if he was a real player.
Radhi Jaidi used to.
Jaidi, okay.
He used to dance in front of the goalkeeper, didn't he?
He used to jump in front of them for free kicks.
Seb Larsson stand on a free kick.
Back to them.
They banned it, didn't they?
But they stopped it. Well, you could actually do it then.
Yeah, innovators.
We scored a few from that, and then they stopped it because he was interfering with the goalkeeper.
Did you play with John Paxson?
That's what we had to do.
Yes, I did.
Did he really go round the ground at
every
half
game.
the home games and cheer every member of the
game.
crowd?
Win, lose or draw, every game.
I
it
love
was
that.
without a doubt the weirdest thing you've ever seen.
What, a full lap?
Full lap, just lap clapping the fans like that. I think the fans loved it because it was just
on his own as well.
On his own, yeah.
every game's a cup final for John Panso. I really appreciate that. Who's the most? So Ledley King, one of the most naturally gifted players you've played with as well. Like maybe, who's one player who you appreciated that put in the time sort of behind the scenes? Everyone talks, Frank Lampard, for example, being that player. Yeah. Was there anyone in your career that you came across who was just a relentless trainer and got there through sheer force of will?
Damien Duff is a relentless trainer, but he had a lot of talent to go with it. But as in training sense, even no matter what age he was at, as he came towards the older stage in his career, everything into his training session. And you had other players that wouldn't really lift a leg and just train. It's like some lads just flow through them, don't they? And then they come to a match and they perform. Whereas he every day had to be on his best, but then the talent was there as well. It wasn't just hard work that got him there.
Now as a coach at Celtic,
yeah,
what
exactly.
A ledge. Yeah. What about you, Tor? Who was one player apart from maybe Gianfranco Zola? You gave a pretty good answer earlier. Throughout your career, who was just a magnificent trainer?
In some ways, a lot of the English guys weren't as good trainers as some of the foreigners.
Interesting.
I think back then there was a little bit of
drinking culture.
I wouldn't use that word, but they could stroll through the week and then give 110% in the weekend. I think that was a bit of the English attitude going back 20, 30 years ago. While they learned a lot from the European guys coming in, and it became a lot more serious. The training sessions became almost like matches during my time, I think.
People talk about Wenger's influence in that
regard.
Sort of coincides with that.
I think
that
it changed a lot for everyone in England, actually, around that time.
Was John Terry coming through as a kid when you were there?
Yes, he was
Did he join
in the academy.
Training? Was he?
Yeah, he kind of
brilliant.
came into the team in my period when I was there at Chelsea. Yeah,
I remember
he was a good
stories.
trainer, by the way. He trained really well. He was clever. He learned a lot from the older professional guys and took advices and all that stuff, and then he implemented
I remember hearing
it.
stories about him as like a 17-year-old, like marshalling a defence in first team training. That's quite interesting to hear.
Yeah,
did he ever come through the back of your tour? Did you have to give him like a song silence there?
Oh yeah, it was always some tough situations. I obviously I played with Dennis Wise as well.
Right.
He could have a few tackles in there.
Blimey.
But a great captain to have. He was brilliant as a captain.
He's not remembered for being like an amazing footballer. He's just remembered for being like a hard man.
Yeah,
but was he actually a very
I
good
loved
footballer
him
well?
as a captain because sometimes when you play, you kind of slow down a bit and you're not really up for it. But then if you went up for it for a second, you would hear his voice, and he would just push you up. And I thought he was great as a captain.
Interesting. So we're just hearing, just to pick up on what Stephen was talking about earlier, that Rudiger did intimate that he heard a monkey chant from the crowd, which is why there was so much deliberation with the referee. And of course, that is absolutely disgusting behaviour. And if that is the case, hopefully the fans are identified before the end of kick-off, is ejected from the stadium and banned from football, much like that Manchester City fan was dealt with very, very quickly the other week. So let's move on from that. We don't spend too much time dwelling on these idiots, although we do have to touch upon it. Reece James coming on now for, hopefully that wasn't
Two changes.
Tammy Abraham has also come off. I was going to say, that is quite an odd substitution. The camera going straight to Tammy Abraham. That's Azpilicueta for Reece James and Tammy Abraham for Batshuayi. So Chelsea looking fairly comfortable here.
Done very well.
In the 80th minute. Still not a shot on target from Spurs.
Is that?
Wow, really?
I believe,
No
from my
shots.
recollection at the very least.
Yeah.
Chelsea completely managing this game. Got Tottenham in submission, haven't they? What were we talking about prior? Players that you played with. So we were talking about John Terry as well, weren't we? So I want to ask, Will does this all the time on the show, and to be honest, it's annoying, but I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to commandeer it for my own benefit. So what was it like transitioning from Chelsea to the Scottish game, mate?
Scotland was a bit strange because there's only two teams up there. And
sounds right.
And at least back then, if you play for one of these teams, you better win the league. And both my season, unfortunately, we didn't win the league.
Yes, that was my research in bold.
Yeah. So, but talking about derbies.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Rangers against Celtic. I've never experienced anything like that.
What was it about a match day that was so surprising, or what?
I think the loud, or the crowd was so loud that you couldn't talk to each other on the pitch. It was just ridiculously loud. Obviously, it's louder in England as well in the games, but that was a step up from there.
You played against one of Celtic's modern greats, a calibre of player we'll probably never have again in Henrik Larsson. Of course, he represented Man United in the Premier League. How was it to play against him in a season where he was prolific?
Yeah, no, it was almost a bit frustrating for me because I was obviously a striker on another team, and although I scored quite a few goals, he always tended to score twice as many almost. I think he's at a new European record of over 50 goals, which was crazy, obviously. But no, he was really good. And
it's not bad when you can rock up at Barcelona at 34 and win them a Champions League final, is it? Actually, how's the last 5 minutes of this played out? Because I'm seeing Sissoko really try and take the initiative to Chelsea, but now he's on the floor.
Chelsea's hands. They've got. I think Spurs have run out of ideas. What is there? About 8 minutes left on the clock. No subs left. They haven't managed to break Chelsea down. It doesn't look like they will. Mourinho's now holding the ball. Probably wants to get involved
The
himself.
best tactic today, I think.
Yeah.
Just keep holding the ball on the side.
They have tried, but they just haven't been able to break through. Chelsea have been brilliant.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cliche, but the steward become the master and Lampard there, wasn't it? Like, just really did. But tactically, they got it right. Not that I want to say that, but like...
Yeah, he made a good change
Lampard
as well.
will be absolutely loving this behind the scenes.
Oh, well,
Of course.
He's always very diplomatic and speaks very affectionately about Jose, but it's not... It got a little bit cagey, didn't it? Was it the start of...
It was the start of the season after the 4-0. Mourinho questioned a few of Lampard's starting players.
It'd be good if he did that tonight in his post-match.
Yeah.
I don't know why they started Vertonghen left back. I would have done that myself.
But yeah, the way he was talking about Abraham and Mount wasn't very complimentary. And they've been two of Chelsea's better players today, which is nice to see.
Maybe driven on an individual basis as well, adding some extra incentive
Oh, it would, wouldn't it?
What is a good season for Tottenham at this point? We talked about the points deficit from last season. Obviously, a little bit of a rejuvenation under Jose Mourinho, but is it just 4th place? Would you take 4th place over a trophy, Stephen?
What trophy?
OK, let's go FA Cup, not League Cup, because that just makes it really easy, doesn't it?
FA Cup. Does that get them into the Champions League? Yeah.
No,
depending on who does it depend on.
Stop trying to get in the Champions League.
Make
a mockery of my question.
Sorry, I think for Tottenham, Champions League is the most important. As much as they need to get a trophy, I think Champions League is the most important.
So weirdly, you finding yourself in sort of Arsenal's position during
Pretty
the end
much,
of Wenger's
which is
era.
terrible to say that, but yeah, that's where we are.
Yeah. And what does success look like for Chelsea this season, Tor? Given that the parameters have changed so often.
Yeah, no, going into the Champions League would be the main thing, I would think. Obviously, it's nice to win one of these cups as well, but no, Champions League would be important because that's the thing that attracts players. It can be hard.
The deciding factor is when you're looking at a team like where will I go, and you're like, oh, Champions League football, let's go there. That can be the deciding.
Is that more so than Manchester United, for example? As a United fan, same question to you. Find yourself in a very similar scenario.
Top 4 will be great, but I don't think we're going to get it. Europa League is our only hope.
Yeah.
I think.
See you in the last 16, mate.
Yes, got Bruges. In the last 32, but yeah, see you boys there. Europa League would be very good, but there's some big teams that have dropped into it from the Champions League now, so it'd be very tough.
Yeah.
But I'd definitely take that.
We'll see how much of a battling midfielder McTominay is when Scott Brown ethers him, kicks him into Rose.
That'll be the making of him.
Yeah. What do you mean the making of him?
McTominay.
Oh, right, okay,
Not Scott. Sorry.
Well, last 5 minutes of the game, let's have some quick fire questions to keep us ticking over because the game is very much dead, isn't it?
Yes, before we wrap up, obviously, Watford bottom at Christmas, but obviously that bottom 3 now contains Norwich and Aston Villa. Who do we think will be gone by May? Do you think it will be Villa, Stephen?
I have to.
There is a VAR thing here now, sorry.
Oh, they're looking at the pen.
Penalty thing.
Oh, at least...
Oh,
at least Tor's paying attention.
Hold on, so Dele Alli is right on the corner of the box, and he's been clipped.
It's a penalty, isn't it?
The kick.
He has been clipped by. Is that Zuma?
Is it out?
That is inside. It's just whether the contact is enough, right? So does
on the line counts as inside,
doesn't
right?
his
He's
Dele Alli's
already
foot
given
go
the free
into-
kick for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got
it's
another
inside the box.
VAR incident.
Love that.
If it's inside the box, it's.
Yeah.
What do we all think on first? Okay, doesn't matter what we think because there's no penalty free kick.
Stephen, Villa, down by May?
Wishful thinking. I didn't think they would be. I just felt they had too much, and they've been playing actually quite good football for a lot of season. But they keep losing. They keep dropping points, and I kind of feel if they don't find a way to turn those good performances into wins, they will find themselves down there. I'd written Watford off, to be honest, but now look at what they are. I thought they were for sure gone. I didn't think they had the attitude or the strength, but now I'm like, I don't know, maybe they can pull themselves back out of it.
What about you, Tor? Is anyone that's maybe not in the bottom 3 at the moment you could see?
Not really. I think maybe the favourites are those 3 who are there now, but
Willian, that's
look
brilliant.
at this counter-attack.
N'Golo Kante,
Oh,
he's in.
it's
N'Golo
gone.
Kante's in.
Come on, finish it.
No! Don't put it back off. We all unanimously wanted a guy to wrap this game up. It'd be Kante, wouldn't it?
Back to that bottom 3. I mean, there's been some. I mean, for me, I had Brighton down there and Newcastle, but they've surprised a lot of people, haven't they?
Yeah, Newcastle have been really good. They're above half, is there, or are they?
Still got question marks about Newcastle. Huge question marks.
Sheffield, though.
Newcastle 9th now.
Ninth, yeah.
Haven't they scored about 6 goals?
Same points as United. Cool.
Have Newcastle the same as United?
Yeah. That is embarrassing.
Well, no,
the world we
Sheffield
live
United
in.
the same as Manchester United. Oh, no, 3 points behind Sheffield United, you were saying, right? What Newcastle United are? Are Newcastle on the same points as Manchester United?
Newcastle on 25.
Oh,
yeah.
my God. What?
Sheffield United away, but
Sorry, just a whirlwind 10 seconds. VAR. The realisation that Manchester United are as good as Newcastle United this season, who were tipped to go down.
And they beat us.
And I keep catching Stephen on that screen and thinking it's Louis Garcia. just totally unrelated from all footballing matters. OK, we got that was a good question. And I feel like we will probably come back to Villa being relegated before the end of the show. Have you guys got anything on this
I've
side?
got a question for you, Tor. So at the start of the season, I read an article and you were quoted as saying there's a few players that you can see making their transition to first-team football, and all 5 have. So
Reece James is one of them.
Reece James. So all 5 of those players you mentioned, so like Reece James, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, they've all made it to first team. Is there anyone you can see that's currently out on loan that might make the transition next season?
Great question.
Yeah, no, there are some good, or some players doing well. I don't think we would have at least the same amount of players coming back. That's going to be difficult. But you have like players that has surprised me as well. Coming in, Conor Gallagher, for example, doing really well at Charlton.
Yeah.
Coming straight from the academy and then going into the league and doing well. Izzy Brown have done well at Luton. Have been injured lately, but he might be able to do it. But then again, I should be careful with naming names, you know. But,
Who should we be signing on Football Manager? That's the real question.
Please, yeah, because I will be playing that in about 2 hours' time.
No, well, I don't know, but I think
Billy Gilmore?
Gilmore, he's
really young,
he can,
isn't he?
yeah, he's young, yeah. So he might
had
need.
first-team experience already, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think maybe he should go out on loan, have a couple of experiences out, and he could be a superstar as well.
It must be such a positive place to be at the moment, like such a culture shift, Lampard coming in, because it was just a bit of a running joke before how few players Chelsea had produced since the likes of John Terry and Lampard. And then all of a sudden you've got this whole wave of players.
Yeah, but it was a bit strange. Like for years, Chelsea won the FA Cup, Youth FA Cup. And,
about 5 years in a row,
yeah,
right?
but none of the players came through. So I think it's a lot up to the manager, like having someone who's brave enough to use them.
Interestingly enough, I say interesting, 8 minutes of added time here.
8 minutes?
8? If that had been a penalty, I mean, it's a bit redundant because it wasn't. But if that had been a penalty, Spurs would have had enough time to seek an equaliser. So very fine margins in this game. But 8 minutes of injury time means loads of time for you guys even to get your questions to Will to pitch to the rest of the guys in the studio. Again, if you're tuning in for the last few minutes because you think, you know, Tottenham might do it. I like your positivity for 1. And 2, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Will?
People watching our fantastic stream, and a question from Joshua Pilling, a regular contributor. Quick question to both of you gents. What was the highlight of your career?
Oh,
Great question.
Should I start? That must be World Cup for Norway, '98.
Oh, France '98. That's
Vintage.
I've got like childhood memories of
dripping in
you scoring.
nostalgia.
I genuinely remember that as a kid.
We had to beat Brazil to get through the group stage. And
Did you have Scotland in your group as well?
we had Scotland, and we had Morocco. We drew the first 2 games, and then we had to beat Brazil, which was not an easy job, but we did. So.
The most deadpan way of recounting a victory over Brazil. Did you score in that game?
I did. Hat trick. As a striker, well, maybe like the best moment. You couldn't have a game without you scoring it, I guess.
What were you like after the game? Were you just like, yeah?
No, that was quite a. That's the only game I couldn't sleep. I had to ask for a sleeping tablet because we had another game 3 days away against Italy. So the emotion, the feelings were so crazy. I couldn't relax. I was like shaking. Yeah, that was.
What was that World Cup experience like, though? Because I mean, for us, '98 is like our first memory.
I loved it. Like, you know, the build-up and everything, and because this was kind of the first time in 50 years or something.
Right.
No, Norway was in '94 actually as well, but not very often at least they go in. So not the same expectation as some of the bigger teams had.
Did you get to see the scenes back at home, like when you beat the likes of Brazil as well?
Yeah, they were pretty crazy. I think I've never
There better be
seen
a statue of you somewhere after that goal against Brazil.
Norway's.
Oh!
So, the Norwegians are normally quiet and don't. Yeah.
Not when Tore Andre bags in the World Cup there.
No.
This was the 23rd of June as well, so a lovely summer night in Norway. I think everybody was out partying that night.
Stephen, what about yourself?
Getting to the Europa League final was pretty special, but
After that Juventus.
after that, yeah. But I think playing for your country, I think tops most things for me. I think it's very special. So I got to captain Ireland on an occasion. I think for me that's probably one of the highlights of what I did.
Captain of your country, that's
Yeah,
wow.
that was one of the best things I've done.
So can you recall every sort of minute of that, or was it such a whirlwind because it was such a...
It was a bit of a whirl. It was a bit of a blur, and again against them. It was against Uruguay, so I think Forlan might have been playing again. So coming against us against.
Did you have a word with him before? Listen,
know,
Diego,
please,
you
yeah,
had your moment in the Europa League final.
But no, it was just I think that it's one of those. It's like when you're a kid, is growing up playing football. You watch your country, and you dream of playing for them. Then you get privileged enough to put on the green jersey, and growing up in Dublin and watching the World Cup '94 and those just nostalgic moments of people like Paul McGrath and you're just like in awe of them. So then get to play for Ireland was just a dream come true, and then the time I get to lead in my country was extremely special for me. Like I've done it on a couple of occasions, and it was just every time was special.
Yeah. Was Roy Keane coming towards the end of his international career when you were?
Yeah, Roy Keane.
At that point.
When he came back out of the international tournament after the incident in in the 2000 World Cup. So my first introduction to the squad, he was back in the squad then, and I trained with him and played a couple of games.
What was it like training with someone like him? We talk about kind of incessant training.
Yeah, no, you're kind of in awe of him. You're training. You don't, because he's there. You don't want to put a foot wrong. You don't want to knock over a cone, or you want to make sure you do everything perfect because you're in the presence of Roy Keane. It's amazing like that. And I was young, I was like 19 at the time. So you're just like thinking, this is arguably one of the best midfielders ever played a game, and you're running around training ground with him. Just you better be on my toes here. I don't want to give the ball away, or at least not give it away when I'm passing it to him. So
yeah. Imagine that's what Dennis Wise was like at Chelsea. But, probably not as complete. All right, we're 6 minutes into stoppage time. Frank Lampard already checking his watch. I'm not quite sure why, because it has been quite a comfortable second half for them, at least since the sending off, hasn't it?
What win?
Still no shot on target for Tottenham. Will we get a shot on target? Let us know in the comments below. If anyone's a couple of minutes ahead on the stream, that'd be great. So let's have a couple more questions. I think then that'll carry us to the end of the game, and we can wrap things up, because of course this is our last show of the year, and we'll let you know when we'll be coming back at the end of the show. It's actually not the end of the decade, is it? Because 2020 still counts as this decade, so...
Yeah. Why are people doing this team of the decade?
Yeah, because they do well, don't they? We've done one with the full realisation that it's not the end of the decade, but, views.
So I've been toying with asking you this, or telling you this, because I think he might get in trouble, but a friend of mine plays Sunday League football, and about 4 or 5 years ago, they were playing a game, and this lad came on for the other team, and he was basically a ringer. He was the captain's mate. He scored a hat-trick, and apparently a Rabona, top corner. I know it sounds ridiculous, but apparently he did that. It was only when he made his Premier League debut, they said, hold on, do you remember that lad that played against? That was the lad that played against us, scored the hat-trick. It was Callum Hudson-Odoi. So as a 14-year-old, he went down to play for his mate's Sunday League team, scored a hat-trick against my mate's team. And I just wondered if that's frowned upon at Chelsea. If a 14-year-old was doing that now, he might get in trouble.
You could get in trouble at the time. How was the coach?
He's going to find him when he sees him.
Was he on loan at that time?
Back there.
No, I can imagine he did well in a game like that.
You were saying he looked first team ready from a very young age, weren't you? So do you fully expect him to break into this side? Because it's not quite as clear cut after signing that new contract now that Pulisic's here and playing well, now that Mount's playing well, Willian's had a renaissance.
I thought it would be a little bit of an up and down season for him, considering his injury last season. So at least now he's back. He actually came back earlier than first anticipated. Yeah. So he will need a little bit of time after an injury like that. But he will be pretty much regular. That's my belief anyway. Maybe next season.
Yeah, what an unbelievable talent. England have just got some sensational players coming through, haven't they? And if Jadon Sancho goes to the club, as widely reported by us, and with inside information from Torrand, no, that's not been the case at all. But that forward line would just be absolutely sickening, wouldn't it?
Even the likes of like Danny Ings yesterday, like absolute poacher finishes as well.
It is. That is your lot for this game. Frank Lampard getting a big one over his old master.
As if he wasn't popular enough before. Beating Tottenham today.
And of course, Tottenham passing up the opportunity to leapfrog Chelsea in the league. Chelsea now sustaining, a bit of form after that rickety period in the last 6 games. And Willian, their MVP in this game, is it unanimous in the studio that Willian was the MVP?
Yeah. He was exceptional, wasn't he? Start to finish, just drove at them. Everything Chelsea did well, he was involved in. Even when they broke there and he put the ball through the Kante, what a pass from him. He skipped past one plane and outside the foot whip into the Kante's path. He probably should have done better, but yeah, he was being excellent.
So your man of the match?
Yeah, no, that first goal he scored. That's not many players who can do that at this level. It's amazing how quick it was and finding the corner there. Lovely player, and he was the best player today.
We actually played against him against Shakhtar in the Europa League. And he was unbelievable. I think they had 99.9% possession of the ball and we beat them. I don't know how. But he was playing, and then again he went off and Douglas Costa came on.
As the fullback on your flank, right? Absolute mess.
Tough day.
Wow, that is a tough day.
And once Chelsea, there's at Juventus now, so they went on to have very good careers, didn't they? So, I was going to ask you. Let's come back to my original point. So, Willian was actually going to sign for Tottenham at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it would have been great.
And do you think that's the sort of level of player that Tottenham need in January to kickstart their season? In many ways, it feels silly to say that because we're 18 games deep. But
well, when you look at obviously the players that they brought in have not been able to play because they've been injured. But you can bring in a player that can come in and influence the squad and have such an impact like Willian has had. That's the type of signings Tottenham need. They don't need someone to come in and be on the periphery. They need someone to come in and be able to stake a claim or else be good enough to push those players onto more, and that's what they do need.
And also Premier League experience as well, because you think Jose is going to opt for that over bringing in some sort of prodigious youngster from the continent. Osimhen's been linked from Lille with Chelsea and some other top clubs. Lampard throwing his coat into the crowd. Love that. I've not seen a coat thrown into the crowd in a very long time.
He's loving this.
I'm that club. That's 70 quid in the club shop.
That is Mourinho-esque. When we needed that.
Biggest celebration as a manager.
But do you think that he'll go after Premier League proven quality?
I think that's what Jose tends to do, doesn't he? He tries to bring in players that can have an instant impact. They're going to hit the ground running. They're not going to take long to adjust to the system. It might not be Premier League players. It might be proven players from the continent that he knows are capable of doing it. Maybe players he's managed before and think they've got enough to adapt to the style and the pace of this league. But he's very much a ready-made man. He wants people that can come in and impact straight away.
Yeah, he's got his fill of young talent, so it will be really interesting to see the profile of player he goes after. And losing to Chelsea, losing to Manchester United, that will probably embolden him in terms of asking for those players as well. Ash, your thoughts on these two clubs? Tottenham very much in a similar situation to Manchester United. Yeah,
we'll both be fighting for that 4th spot, but that's massive for Chelsea. And Lampard is in front of the Chelsea fans. He's been there for a good couple of minutes now, geeing them up. He's throwing his coat into the crowd. Adam Hibbert will be in there crying, I'm sure, with tears of delight. But it's a really, really massive win for Chelsea and a big dent to Mourinho, I think.
Yeah, look what it means to these players on the pitch now. Great scenes at the end as well, because they needed that, didn't they? Questions were starting to be raised over how consistent this young team could be, and they've answered a lot of questions there, so.
You can see that means a lot to all of them,
Well, the thing is, when you come through the academy, a team, they'll be used to playing against Tottenham in the academy all the way up, and they'll grow to hate them. Let's face it, that's what they do. And I was the same. I hated Arsenal, and West Ham, and Chelsea. That's terrible. Sorry, it gets put into you, so then to do it on a senior level, that's why it means so much to them. So it's in you then now,
That sort of added bitterness.
I didn't, yeah.
We're all about that on the form section.
Love a bit of bitterness. If we have any bitterness in the comments, let's go out on one last question. I might be throwing you under the bus here.
No, it's fine.
Prepare one last question.
One from me, Toro. You'll be joining Frank for a mulled wine later to celebrate.
Sorry if I...
Will you be joining Frank for a mulled wine later to celebrate?
Tonight, I guess. My son is 18 years old today, so
Happy birthday!
a lot of things to celebrate for me as well tonight.
Get him on, here he is.
No, he's not behind the scenes. OK, let's have a look at the league table then to round the show off. So, at the very top, of course, it's Liverpool. But we've spoken about Liverpool to death, so let's touch upon Chelsea and Tottenham then, given the game that's just unfurled. Who's most likely to secure fourth, in your opinion? Very quickly, guys.
I still think Spurs have got a chance in that second half of the season, just because of the Mourinho factor.
So Spurs, despite the loss for Will. Ash.
Chelsea, they'll do it.
Chelsea, the youngsters are going to prevail. Stephen.
Have to go for Tottenham.
Have to go for Tottenham.
I have to.
Very diplomatic. If you said Tottenham, though, the respect. OK, yeah. So there we have it. Not a whole lot has changed in terms of the complexion of the league, but it makes the second half of the season really, really interesting. A lot of big clubs still needing to up the ante, really. Liverpool. God, is it their year? Is it their year, gentlemen?
When you watch them, even I was working on the Club World Cups, and they just win. They just know how to win, regardless how bad they play. But they just got that winning mentality about them, and regardless of no matter how they come about it, whether it's playing the team off the pitch or defensively being strong, they just got that bit between the teeth, and it just seems like it really is theirs to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to convert to camp Liverpool, because Pep Guardiola, we know how good he is over the course of the season. You know, in times gone by, squads haven't been able to sustain their form under Jurgen Klopp because of the physicality that he demands from them. But he's changed his ways, and that 10 points is starting to look unassailable, isn't it? Are you team Liverpool or Manchester City? Do you think Manchester City can come back into it?
Not this season. For me, it looks like Liverpool are just flying away. And as you say, even on days where they're not playing great, they win quite comfortably.
Flamengo had more possession, they had more shots. Liverpool still scored in the 99th minute. So, it's just one of those years.
Even the rotation as well, like the players that are on the periphery that he's played, like even in the massive game, the Merseyside derby, he brings in Origi and Shaqiri, and those players are performing well for him and putting shifts. And normally he tends to stick to his same team. And like I said, that energy levels they dwindle towards that season, but he's rotating a bit more now, and all those players are in the form that they come in and they do well for him.
And another really smart signing in Minamino, just for $7 million, which feels ridiculous, in January. We can actually hear from Willian, who was our MVP,
Willian, says our first of all, how stunning a victory was that?
Amazing. I think it feels very good for us, for the fans, to come here to win after our run that was not the best, to keep a clean sheet, and this is a very good win.
As you referred to, an out-of-form Chelsea against a bang-in-form Tottenham. How come you were able to dominate and win in that fashion?
I think we prepared very well the week. We knew that we were coming to play against a tough team, but we did our job. We knew that we had to recover that fighting spirit that was a London derby, what it means for everybody in Chelsea, and I think we did very well with the quality that we have in the team, like Willian with these 2 goals, and every piece of football that he made today was amazing, because we fought and then we played some very good football.
Willian, in the 11 previous attempts in the Premier League, you've never scored against Tottenham. 2 today. Were you making up for lost time?
I'm happy, of course, with the 2 goals, but most important thing is who is to win the game. And we did a brilliant job today, and I am happy for that.
The first goal, do you think you caught Tottenham by surprise with the corner?
I think so. I think they expect me to put the ball in the box, and then I play short, and I go 1v1, and I score a good goal.
As well as the tactics, how much was it about the mentality of Chelsea today?
It was good. We know how difficult it is to play against Tottenham, but the team mentally was perfect. And we did a great job.
In many ways, was the timing of the second goal key too, right before half-time?
Yeah, we know that when you score just before half-time, can be obviously much better because you make a bit the advantage a bit longer. But even after in the second half, at the beginning, we had a few chances where we could score the third and enjoy a bit more the last minutes. But the team did an amazing job, and we kept a clean sheet that we didn't do it for a long time. So I think it's due to the whole team an amazing job, and I'm very happy with it.
The captain can't stop grinning. How much will this put smiles back on the faces at Chelsea after a tricky time?
I think now we have to keep the same, because we cannot go up and down anymore. I think we have to carry on. More games coming. We want to stay there at the top. We need to win more games.
OK, you did your job today. For your part, you were the man of the match. But Cesar, I must ask you about the incident in the second half. Can you tell us what Tony Rudiger said to you and what happened from there?
Right, it's very clear every time we have meetings in the Premier League and with the referees before the game. We have been told to report if any incident with racism happens straight away to report to the ref. So Tony came to me and told me that he was listening some racism songs toward him. So I just I reported to the ref immediately, and I left to the ref to do his job, because we are very, very concerned, are very aware of this behaviour, and all together we need to stop.
Do you know if any other Chelsea players heard it at all?
No, because obviously we went straight to play, because the incident with Son and his red card was towards this area, and is where it happened. So now I hope everything gets clear and we eradicate it as soon as possible, because it's an issue not only in football but in life. And all together we need to work towards the eradication of the problem.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very well handled there, the question from the captain. And let's hope that those perpetrators are caught as quickly as they have been in previous games. Absolutely no place for that in football, in society. Just a really sour note to end on. I did love in that interview, though, the difference between Azpilicueta, who was beaming, of course, captain, loving the victory, and then Willian, probably the most balanced individual ever. How can you be that composed after scoring that goal in a London derby?
Even how he described it yesterday, I went past him and just as if it was nothing like
It's the most natural thing in the world to do that for him.
This is a guy who's captained his country as well, so he is just, I mean, he's some player, isn't he? Let's have one last question then, Will.
Yeah, I mean, we focused on the positives, but Spurs as well, not having the best of games. What do you put down to the bad performance? Was it sort of some of the petulance that we saw as well?
I think they were a bit surprised by the way Chelsea lined up or set the team up. Chelsea were very solid defensively, took their chances really well when they were going forward. And obviously Chelsea scored at some great times. And having 2-0 just before half-time, Tottenham really couldn't find an answer to it.
Yeah, I think they were a bit shell-shocked by Willian getting a goal so early, and that kind of knocked out of play. And then Chelsea were able to get that back five in place and really close the gap and not allow them to get behind them or get the intricate football they like to play around the box, because they had so many numbers and it was hard to break that down. And then as the game went on, getting that goal before half-time, which was just, as we watch it back, just crazy from the goalkeeper, from Kepa and from Gazzaniga. Just there's no need to do that, and that just gives them a lifeline again. So you're just conceding a goal before half time, and you're in a position already where Tottenham have to come after you, and you're set up with a back five. Then they have to go again, and then the sending off, and it's game over.
One of the most dumbfounding moments of the season so far. Gazzaniga turning into Jackie Chan there. It was even before then. I think the first time Tottenham registered a shot on target was in the dying ends of the game. Damp squib, and let's hear what Jose Mourinho has to say after the game about his side's performance.
Jose, what are your thoughts on that defeat and the manner of the defeat?
I think first half they were the best team, but one thing is to arrive at half-time losing 1-0, another thing is arriving losing 2-0, and we have to blame ourselves by both goals. The first goal is a short corner. We know how to defend a short corner. We didn't. And the second goal, obviously, is a penalty. So we have to blame ourselves. In the second half, we were much better, and then we stay with one player less and one player less against a team that likes the ball, against a team that moves the ball, that has players technically very, very good, was then very, very difficult. In spite of that, a reaction, in spite of that pride, in spite of that search for a goal that could emotionally change the state of the game, but not possible. And I hope that Rudiger recovers quick from the broken ribs, because for sure he will have a few broken ribs. And that was a crucial moment of the game where I also thought that the VAR was a great referee of this game.
Do you think that Sonny, though, himself, he gave the referee a decision to make, or VAR? Did he contribute to his own downfall by kicking out?
You know, if he does nothing, and if the referee gives immediately a yellow card to Antonio Rudiger by a foul, I don't think he would have a reaction. But when you are frustrated, then you can have this kind of emotional reactions, which the referee and obviously the VAR, they have to analyze. For me, football is football, will be always football. The Premier League, the English football would be always, for me, the Premier League and the English football. And for me, that red card is a strange one. But I don't want to be focused on that, because my team lost, and I have to be, I have to be, how do you say, complimentary to the opponent and congratulate them for their victory.
Why do you think Chelsea had the upper hand in the first half so much?
They start better than us. They come with Antonio Conte's system, a system where some of their players are very, very comfortable. Kante, Aspi, Alonso, these are players that are William, these are players that know very, very well how to play in that. And that's why, and that's the reason why I tried at halftime to change. I know that tactically they were good in the first half, but the reality of the game is that we concede 2 goals in one short corner and in one penalty. And the short corner, we know how to defend, and our players, they were not concentrated, they were not focused. And I always tell the players that in the difficult moment of the game is where you have to be more focused, more concentrated, and survive to the difficult moment of the game. And when we were surviving to the difficult moment of the game, which was the first 20-25 minutes, we concede that goal. And then when we hope to go to halftime with a 1-0, which was what happened to us against Olympiacos, we went to halftime with a 2-1, not with a 2-0. You go with a 2-0 and everything is more difficult. And then that situation with Sonny and against Everton, Sonny was crying because of what happened to Andre Gomes, and now Sonny is crying because he broke Antonio Rudiger a few ribs, and the kid is crying too.
Unfortunately, not a laughing matter. Yet again, an allegation of racism in an English football ground. What's your reaction to what you saw and the announcements that were made? I
saw nothing. I saw the referee following the protocol. I saw the referee speaking with Mariner. I saw the referee coming to me and to Lampard and tell us what was going on, and the protocol was followed. And of course, our club will deal with it, because we are one of the clubs. We are one of the clubs, but every club is together on this situation, and of course we are disappointed, but the protocols were followed.
Thank you, Jose.
Thank you very much.
Well, plenty to touch upon in that post. Absolutely incendiary stuff when you think he's, transformed into the humble one. He's towing the line for 3 minutes, and then he drops that comment about Rudiger having broken ribs. That was a flash of the old Jose. Not exactly discreet, was it, guys? What do we think about that red card? Should it have been a yellow? Do we agree with VAR? Was it a certain red, Stephen?
I think if you're in a position where you give them an opportunity to send you off, and he did. There's no need for him to kick his legs up there. He hasn't hurt Rudiger. You know, he's made a meal of it, let's face it, and he's gone down, and he's probably not in pain now from it. But if you're falling over and your legs are naturally going to go down, and you kick them up like that, I don't think he's left with any other option, really. It's not hurt him, but I think they probably got the call right there. I don't think you can not send them off in that instant.
What about yourself?
No, I agree totally on that. I don't think. I think Rudiger will recover. I don't think his ribs are broken, but he does kick at him, and then it is a red card. I think the sending off was correct. He hasn't been injured or anything, but when he does it, he has to be sent off.
Petulant.
I think it's the height of it as well, because his legs are like around here. It's gone up towards.
Really unnatural. Yeah. Guys, very quickly, what do you think before we leave?
Like you just said, it wasn't a natural.
What's on Birmingham? No. What was your thought?
I was going to go and see Star Wars, but that interview's more box office than I need, so I'll just sit.
Guys, if you missed any of the goals, you can, of course, catch them on Sky Sports' YouTube channel, Sky Sports Football, I should say. If you missed any of the action, go and check that out. And check us out when we come back, because this is the first show in January, and it's Tottenham yet again. So hopefully we'll get some more box office from Jose and some more shots on target, because we only had one today. So join us at 5 p.m. on Soccer AM and Football Daily's social pages. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. Gotta go, 8 minutes of stoppage time. We've all got homes to return to. Bye.
Hello, welcome to the Football Social with Sky Bet. We are back for season 2. Here we go. United! Come on, go! 2 goals! West Ham United! Spurs have scored as well! Let's go! It's Jermaine Pennant. Yes, it's only Sean Wright Phillips. John O'Shea. Paul Konchesky, great to have you on the show. What took you so long, mate, coming on?
Really and truly?
Yeah.
You not inviting me?
Look at that.
We can cross to Zach Jalab. There he is. What a photo that is, by the way. The only way it's up. You know what I mean? It's like,
no, you could go down.
No.
Boy, we've got some crackers. It's Charlie Adam. It's Paul Robinson.
Thank you very much for joining us, Jamie Hara.
I'm absolutely stoked about today. I'm pumped up.
Sure, dog. We're not going for a drink after the game.
Tap back! What I say? Can we have a zoom in on Specs Gonzalez's face, please, because he's not happy.
James Nesbitt.
Nesbitt sat alongside.
But he's got cold feet.
Come on. He's hoping he'll be a lucky man off the top. Clinton gone. Ain't got one. Game over.
Once you're happy with a 2-1 loss, I'm glad.
We've had a question in from Xavier Lord Noodlebrain.
Wow. This is literally the worst quiz ever.
De Bruyne!
If it hits what are they doing? I will leave this room.
They're so poor! Nelson's... And it made it!
On the left looks like Howard Webb. That is rude, I'm back.
I can hear you. No, you can't. No, you can't. What's the score?
Come on, Willian.
I love this show.
The pass.